Hello and welcome to Movies You Missed. I'm your host, Jace Cudlin, and again, this is the podcast where we discuss underrated, um, underappreciated, better than you think movies at length. And welcome to the second episode of our summer sequel summer series. Still haven't really got which order I want to say that in. I probably should figure it out. Probably should have figured it out before I even started this. But anyway, what can you do? The show must go on. But yeah, so welcome back to the show. Welcome back to sequel summer. So yeah, I like sequel summer. So let's just call it the sequel summer series. Yeah, sequel. Welcome back to sequel summer. Last week we talked about, we discussed RoboCop 2, and this will be a 9-part series on underrated sequels. And today we will be covering Halloween 2, 1981 slasher film directed by Rick Rosenthal. Definitely an underrated movie. I think as a result of being the follow-up to one of the possibly the greatest horror movie ever made, I'm not sure exactly I'm not sure if any film could have filled those shoes exactly. And I think a lot of the time when there's an excellent movie and they make a sequel to it, the sequel almost can never live up to the expectation and the precedent set by the original, and it's just a very, very hard thing to do. There's very few sequels I think that are better than the original, although of course it does happen. Terminator 2, Empire Strikes Back, Godfather 2. There are others, I'm sure, but it's probably not a very long list, maybe like 10 to 20 films. Most of the time, the first is the best and it can't be touched. And there's always the comparison, of course. Halloween 2 was compared to Halloween 1, so then therefore it didn't come close, when in reality it should in retrospect be compared to all of the other movies in not just this film series, but also the genre as a whole, and the genre especially at that time period. 1981 too was a tough year for Halloween 2 to come out, because that same year the original My Bloody Valentine came out. Bloody Valentine came out, and then also Friday the 13th Part 2. Two really, really, really excellent slasher movies, and I would say probably better than this movie. But still, this movie is not, how can you compare to those two? The comparisons are I think comparing this movie to other movies a lot of times is where you go wrong, but at the same time, in hindsight, if you compare it to what has come after, in not just the slasher horror film genre, but also, like I said, the Halloween film series, it's really not that bad. Sorry, I was receiving a phone call and I was silencing it, so I had to get closer to the microphone. But yes, here we are, Halloween 2, much better than you remember. Sorry, the phone call kind of threw me for a loop. It's really funny. The phone call that I mentioned about seconds ago, in your eyes, was actually something that totally took me off a completely different path, because I recorded that first 4 minutes yesterday, Friday, June 24th, and the phone call was my friends wanting to go to the bars, so I closed my laptop and went out with them, and now it is Saturday, the 25th, on which I will record the remainder of this opening segment. So yeah, this podcast, this Halloween 2 episode, has been recorded just all over the place, because I forgot to mention, or maybe I did. I mentioned last week, I don't think I mentioned in this episode, that we're going to have a guest today. And the guest in my discussion of Halloween 2 was actually recorded several days ago on Wednesday. So that would have been Wednesday the 22nd. So this Halloween 2 episode has just taken several days to record and cut together. So here we are, though, back in the intro, here for good, in the driver's seat, locked in, ready to roll. So maybe I need to get the mic a little closer. How's this? Is this better? No, that's a little too loud. Anyway, welcome to it. We're here. We're talking about Halloween 2. What about Halloween 2? Fuck it. What about Halloween 2, you might ask? Is that, why even discuss it? It's just a good movie. I like it a lot. It's got a lot of great stuff going on. And, me and my guest, which is one of my dear friends, Jamera Ross, a brilliantly funny and just a very interesting individual who I've known for years now. But yeah, she's got some hot takes, and I'll warn you here first. She is not a Halloween fan per se. I think we cover her history with the franchise briefly in our discussion, but I think this is one of the only ones that she has seen in its entirety, other than the other ones that I have made her watch. Which I made her watch Halloween 2018 before we saw Halloween Kills around the time it came out. And yeah, she did not enjoy Halloween Kills, nor did I, but she did enjoy Halloween 2018, and she did enjoy this movie. And we will discuss how underrated it is here. You will hear that in a moment. But for now, I'll just do, the introductory stuff. I'll take care of the business first here. Again, yeah, we're in the sequel summer. Episode 2 of a 9-part series. Coming at ya. Today's episode is sponsored by MCA Home Video, who created just a bulletproof, seemingly indestructible VHS tape in 1987, which I used to watch this movie. It's one of those hardcore, heavier ones that is has the ridges on it, and it's just it's seemingly. I mean, it plays perfectly still all the way through, and the cover is in great shape. I believe I got it at a Goodwill some years ago, and it's still 2 or 3 of my viewings of this movie, because I've only seen this movie 3 times, I believe. Because I'm trying to savor the unique feelings and the unique impact it has on me, and I don't want that to lessen over time with more viewings. So, yeah, even though it is not necessarily one I want to rewatch over and over again, that doesn't make it any less good. Alright, so we're talking Halloween 2. Halloween 2, like I said, American slasher, directed by Rick Rosenthal in his directorial debut. This is the first movie he would ever direct. And the movie stars, as you know, Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance, who reprised their roles as Laurie Strode and Dr. Sam Loomis from the original 1978. This film serves as a direct sequel to the original film, picking up exactly where that film left off. Actually, even the first 3 minutes of Halloween 2 are just theatrical footage of Halloween 1978. And then there's some reshot stuff from they reshoot some scenes from Halloween 1978 for the beginning of Halloween 2, and then it goes into the events of Halloween 2. So it's a direct sequel. No time passes between the two whatsoever. So the film picks up exactly where that first one left off. How good is Halloween 1978? You know what I mean? I think I watched it maybe 3 weeks ago. Oh God, it's so good. It's a film I would truly consider a masterpiece. In that I would change nothing about it. There's not one bad thing about that movie. It's the most tightly wound, perfectly sculpted creation, I think, in the history of horror movies, and not even just horror movies, but movies in general. But yeah, anyway, so this movie picks up exactly where that film left off, following an injured Laurie Strode as she's taken to the local hospital. Michael Myers follows her there with the intent to finish her off, while Michael's former psychiatrist Sam Loomis continues his pursuit of Michael and attempts to stop him. The film was released on October 30th, 1981, so on the cusp of Halloween, and it actually made $25.5 million against a $2.5 million budget. So this movie was, even though critically it wasn't as well received as the original, it was a huge, huge financial success. But that's interesting, though, if you think about it. The budget for this was $2.5 million, whereas the original had a budget of $320,000. The original, of course, is one of the one of the most successful, highest-grossing independent films ever made. Directed, like I said, by Ricky Rosenthal. He goes by Rick. I just called him Ricky. Who directed this and Halloween. He would later return to the series to direct Halloween Resurrection in 2002. Another installment in this franchise that I love. Even though Halloween Resurrection, I think, more than any other film in the franchise, gets a lot of hate. So I expect that one in the future of this podcast. But yeah, he directed a bunch of stuff too in the meantime. But I think he's most famous for his Halloween stuff. Written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, who, as a writing duo, wrote the original Halloween, The Fog, Escape from New York, and Escape from L.A. And, of course, John Carpenter's famous producer, director, writer for Halloween, The Thing, Ghosts of Mars, John Carpenter's Vampires. He executive produces the new Halloween 2018s. He directed Christine, Assault on Precinct 13, Dark Star, The Ward, a million different movies that are all pretty good. So yeah, they wrote and produced this movie. Although Carpenter begrudgingly returned to the series, even though he did not necessarily want to. He was originally set to direct. People originally wanted him to direct, but he refused. Leading to Rick Rosenthal being the director. So the director of photography, the cinematographer for this movie, was Dean Cundey, who also, I guess, reprises his role as cinematographer from the first Halloween. And Dean Cundey, probably the greatest cinematographer in film history. He did The Fog, Halloween, Escape from New York, The Thing, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, Psycho 2, The Back to the Futures, Jurassic Park, Apollo 13. I mean, he just has an eye, and he makes things just incredibly warm and dewy looking, and just very, very pleasant to cast your eyes upon. So, shout out to Dean Cundey. This movie was produced by Dino De Laurentiis, who is like a Roger Corman type. Produced hundreds of movies, over 500 movies, including many films in the Amityville series, Halloween 3, million Stephen King adaptations, including Dead Zone, Firestarter, Silver Bullet, Cat's Eye. He produced Dune, Evil Dead 2, Blue Velvet, Manhunter, and the list goes on. Dino is the man. This film was distributed by Universal. So after the success of the first one, Universal, a major film studio, hopped on board. And I think you can actually probably see the results of that, big studio tampering, too many cooks in the kitchen thing, which is why this one is not nearly as effective as the first one, but of course still very good. Runtime, 92 minutes. Can't beat that. Perfect runtime, hour and a half. Same as the original, same as basically every film in this franchise. Hour and a half, perfect runtime, not too long, not exactly too short, just right. I, of course, viewed this movie using my own personal VHS copy, whereas even though I forgot to ask her, like I normally would, my guest today viewed this movie on DVD on a copy that I rented for her to watch from our local library. So, support your local library, kids. So this movie, we go through the scores. like we usually do, Rotten Tomato gives this movie a 30%, pretty abysmal. IMDb 6.5 out of 10, not that bad, but still not great. 40% on Metacritic, which is not great. But again, 88% of Google users like this movie. So, and we'll talk about that. I think I rehashed that again with my guest in that segment. But yeah, pretty low scores all across the board, which is definitely a reason why one might have missed this movie. Bad reviews from critics definitely tend to keep people away. As much as we don't like to admit that it does, I think it kind of does. Even though we should never really take just what people say for granted. Especially since I heard a recent point from comedian Paul Rust recently on his podcast, where he said that movie critics don't get into the movie reviewing profession because they're particular fans of horror movies. Like no movie critic, their favorite genre is horror movies. So most of the time, these people are pretty, not even antagonistic, but pretty skeptical of horror movies, and have a chip on their shoulder and a bias against them to begin with. So I think that always kind of harshes, what they have to say, and I think you need to take what they say with a grain of salt in that case. So but yeah, so like this movie got pretty bad reviews when it came out. Many people just calling it like a boring rehashing of the original. So I think that would keep people away, and I think over time, Halloween 2 generally has not really risen in people's esteem. Not like some of the other later sequels, which were kind of gained cult followings because they were like bonkers and cheesy and kind of absurd. But like this one, it's like it's not exactly bonkers or crazy, although like Loomis is doing a lot. And it's not exactly like a thrilling, tight masterpiece like the original. So because it's like exactly in the middle, I think horror fans and general fans alike are like, yeah, not really, I'll pass. But in my opinion, I think that's why the movie works so well, is because it has like everything you want. Like it's like it has like what you want from the first film, which is like real suspense and intensity and thrills and like good acting and a good score, and it looks great, but also like it has like kind of bonkers kills that are like really unique and almost impossible, and people are making like dumb choices, and the plot is a little ludicrous and out there. So it's like kind of, I don't know, I would say best of both worlds. But yeah, so I think people tearing apart this movie consistently can impact whether or not people go see it, and I think it definitely did with this one. And I think it's really hard to just to follow. It's a hard act to follow, Halloween 1978. So I think that it has a tough job, and because it doesn't do it necessarily to the fullest, I think people kind of dismiss it outright. And like also, John Carpenter and like Deborah Hill and a lot of people who were in this movie kind of hated it, and like were not shy about it. They were very vocal that they didn't like it. So like if the people involved who are also really respected within like the horror and film communities, if they don't like it, like if they don't even like it, then like that must say a lot about a movie. But in reality, it's actually incredibly watchable, in my opinion. So yeah, now that we got the preliminary stuff out of the way, I will go ahead and just play the general discussion where me and my guest Jamara Ross go through the plot points, and we had a very good talk about it. It was very fun. We're old friends, and she's one of my best friends for sure. Good chums we are. How many ways can I describe that we're good friends? But yeah, it's a good talk. I was actually a little worried that she wouldn't take it seriously, but she definitely did. And she had her own talking points, and we had a good conversation that was like hour and a half long, much more time than I thought I would get out of her. So without further ado, I will tell you to enjoy that, and I will see you back again at the end of that discussion for the finishing touches, as I like to usually put on them after the plot point discussion. So, okay, I hope you enjoy. All right, I'm here with my guest, Jamera Ross. We're here to talk about 1981. 1981 owns this movie, I guess, is what I'm saying. John Carpenter's Halloween. John Carpenter didn't even direct this movie. What am I doing? I've just never really had a guest, and I'm off the charts on the sound too. I'm gonna dial that back a little bit. Sorry, I'm gonna step away from the mic.
During this entire time, I was wondering what year this was made. Didn't look, but I said, what's her name? You know the lady.
Jimmy Lee Curtis.
Yeah, I was like, she isn't old yet. I wonder what year this is, and then I just left it at that.
It was 1981. 3 years after Halloween was released in 1978. I'm really floundering here, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so 1981. So what's that, like 41 years ago? Math?
I can't do math.
Let me math that out. They can't see us, but we're counting on our fingers. Pretending to use a calculator, I guess. Yeah, 40.
Did you figure it?
1 years ago,
Okay.
give or take.
So you're not sure?
So yeah, I watched this movie on Thursday. Okay, you're getting your notes. Okay, yeah, I watched the movie on Thursday. You watched this movie an hour and a half ago, conservatively.
We're like 2.
Okay, about 2 hours ago. Okay, so it'll be fresh. That's good.
That's what they call me.
They call you Fresh?
Yep.
Freshie
Lee Jones.
Freshie Lee Jones. Freshie Mercury.
That was bad.
It was better than Freshie Lee Jones.
It wasn't.
We'll leave it to the audience to decide. Okay, so I'm just going to go through this beat by beat. Going to bring up some stuff that I really liked in chronological order. That's what I usually do here. Just talk about stuff as it happens in the film. Is that okay with you?
I suppose.
Seems like it's not then.
It's okay.
All right, you don't need to lean in, really.
You didn't even have to point that out because no one can see me, but thank you.
You're welcome.
For embarrassing me on national television.
This is audio only, so we're not, there's no video function here, so we're not on TV.
There's cameras everywhere. You're on Punked.
You're on candid camera. Just look over there.
What year is it? 1964?
Is that what
I
you think candid camera was?
Was it the 80s?
I have no idea. I'll be honest with you.
The 80s looks like a fever dream, if you're being honest, compared to all the other time periods. It looks weird. Anywho.
That's a hot take.
It is a hot take.
You thought this movie looked like a fever dream?
I didn't. Because it's not. Because it's late 80s. And I said, I feel like this...
is early 80s.
Oh, almost cursed. Am I allowed to curse on your thing?
Yeah.
See, maybe it was too early in the 80s to be 80s. Because when you see, like, shit like Stranger Things, you're like, oh, this is 80s. But, like, that doesn't scream 80s to me. But that's not important.
No, it is actually, because this is like, I don't know, I guess we think of distinct decades as like, you think of 80s, you think of Stranger Things fashion,
Yeah.
like knee highs, a lot of neon colors and stuff like that.
That's what
but it doesn't like, it's not like, oh, it's 1980 now and it flips a switch.
That's true.
It's like the early 80s is gonna look a lot like the 70s, or what you think of as the 70s, because it's like, it's got a transition, right?
Yes.
So just like, the early 90s, people still probably look like classic 80s because they haven't made that switch yet. So yeah, I mean, this movie 1981, but nothing about it is really distinctly 80s. It kind of just looks exactly like everything looked in 1978 when the first movie came out.
Do you think that's on purpose?
I don't know. I think it's like, yeah, they couldn't just like, it was made in 1981, so they're just like, well, just wear what you're wearing, It's not a period piece.
I guess so.
Yeah.
It was just interesting.
Yeah, I liked. What did you think? You liked it?
It was significantly better than I thought it would be. If you're asking, would I watch it again on my own dime? On my own dollar? I don't know. But it actually wasn't bad. I give it like a solid 8 out of 10, which I feel is pretty high.
It's
It's
yeah,
pretty high because the acting was good. Some of the kills, they're just corny. I think because of the time.
Yeah.
It's like when he goes to stab someone, like, this looks silly. But...
I'll average your 8 out of 10 against, yeah, I mean, let's check the Rotten Tomato scores here. Rotten Tomato scores 30%.
Oh, gosh.
So you think it's better than 30%?
I think it sure could have been worse.
There we go.
It wasn't, like, horrible like other, like, scary movies I've seen.
Yeah. IMDb, 6.5 out of 10. Closer, but not great.
Maybe that's more accurate, but, like, I don't know.
IMDb is always, like, a little easier.
I don't know why they're nitpicky on it.
40% Metacritic.
Oh, that's low.
Yeah. But then 88% like Google user.
I feel like that's more accurate, because like when I go on Google and I Google something, sometimes I'll press like.
You really do that?
I do that, yeah.
That's interesting.
Is it why?
I've never done that in a day of my life.
Really?
Yeah.
You seem like the type.
Yeah, I'm glad that people do that and bolster these movies.
No, yeah, I try to give my little 2 cents on things I like.
Yeah, I'm glad. But yeah, people hated this movie when it came out. I'll read some reviews later on when you're not here. I know you're strapped for time. But like people like Roger Ebert, like Gene Siskel,
he was ugly.
They're all ugly. That's why they just write their thoughts down and don't, have TV shows or stuff.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's why they write in newspapers.
Didn't Robert Ebert?
Richard Ebert? Roger Ebert? Reginald Ebosque?
Wasn't his wife black?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
I think she was. Maybe he had
Good
money.
for him.
No. He was scary. He died.
He's
dead.
He's dead.
Well, ta-ta. I don't know.
Bye-bye for now, I guess. Yeah.
Ever?
We'll see him again in heaven, I guess.
Given the fact that he gave it probably a horrible review.
Yeah.
He's not in heaven.
Maybe you're right. But yeah, I'm glad you liked it. Have you ever seen the original Halloween?
Like a long time ago. I didn't have a British accent when I said that.
It slipped into it at
It
the end.
did.
I heard it. Yeah,
it's natural. Funny. I feel like it's just one of those movies that's going to be kind of corny, but not. It's just the type. If that makes sense. Like when I think of like a man walking slow trying to kill me type of movie. It's the time. And it's going to be kind of like... It's going to be like that. I feel like you can't be critical.
You're so modern, you.
Me?
You're just like, listen, I've seen Hereditary. This isn't shit.
Shut up. It's not bad, but it's just like for the time.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that like it's like Halloween Kills is corny? Or Halloween 2018 is corny? Because it's like the exact
I like
same
Halloween 2018.
Yeah, but it's the same thing.
Halloween
right?
Kills is horrible.
Okay, we're not here to bash
I know we're
Halloween
not,
Kills,
but I'm bashing it.
I'm going to use this.
I thought Halloween Kills was really bad, but because I've seen Halloween Kills, I feel as though there's parallels. I feel that there are. And I said, that's interesting. But I'd never watch Halloween Kills again, because I personally think it's bad. But like 2018 one, I thought that was pretty good, but like these are the type of movies. There's a killer on the loose, and people are just getting murdered. And that's just...
best.
Yeah, like that's just the type of movie, and they're just like that, and I think they're fun.
Yeah, they're a good time.
Some of the kills were cool. So there's that.
I recommend you watch like the original Halloween again.
I probably should.
You probably should. It's really, really good.
It's just maybe in October.
Oh, you're one of those?
It's just, that's not on my list
you said
right now.
it's when it comes on AMC's Fear Fest, I'll watch it.
I don't have cable.
Yeah, me either.
So
those were the days, though. Did you ever just sit around and watch AMC's Fear Fest when you were like a kid?
Oh yeah, like everybody
Those
did.
Times. That's how I've seen all these movies, I believe.
All you had was what was on TV.
Yeah.
So like you just had to watch it. So you got exposed to cool stuff.
Me and my mom would be like, "Hey Jace, it's October 1st. Have you checked the lineup for AMC's Fear Fest yet?" And I said, "Got it right here," holding up a TV guide.
Oh, that's...
Did you ever used to get TV guides?
Hey, are you 46? I don't know.
We've lived in it. This was maybe like 15 years ago, I guess.
I never had a TV guide.
You never got a TV guide sent to your
No.
house? Yeah, I think it is something you do have to pay for. So I think
Your
we didn't
family
have.
paid for that?
I think we didn't have it for very long, but.
Oh.
Also, we used to get them a lot from my grandpa because my grandpa subscribes to everything because he's old.
Is he 90?
Yeah, he's just about 90. He gets like the newspaper still thrown at his door and shit by like a little kid on a bike or whatever. Or more yet, it's probably just a grown man in like
Probably.
a car.
I don't know if they're in a car. Well,
Like a truck, maybe.
never thought about
I
it.
don't think they'd be on a bike. I think that's like an illusion.
Like life.
Like just like life. All right. Well, let's just so like, what's your history with Halloween? Have you seen all the movies?
You know I have not. However, I'll put this out here. I don't know which ones that I have seen. I know I've seen the one with that little girl wearing a clown costume running away.
That would be 4.
Yeah. Who is she?
That's that's like in a retconned timeline.
I don't know what that means.
So like, I don't know, we're not gonna get into the history of Halloween here, but Halloween has like 12 different movies, 13 different movies.
They should have probably stopped at like 4.
Disagree. They're all good.
That's impossible.
They're all good in their own way. But like in the original continuity, there was Halloween 1978, Halloween 2, which we're talking about today, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which has nothing to do with Michael Myers and is a separate movie because they were going to do an anthology, but then backed out of that when people didn't like 3, and then they went back to Michael Myers for, ever since. So there's 1, 2, 3 doesn't really count, and then 4, 5, and 6 all center around that little girl, Jamie Lloyd, which is Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter, but Jamie Lee Curtis is dead, so Michael Myers is coming after the little girl who's his last living relative.
I have many questions.
All right.
How did she die in this scenario?
In a car crash.
And why is she alive in Halloween Kills in the other one? Also, her daughter looks like a blonde white woman, so that's not...
No, her daughter has like black hair.
Not in Halloween 2018.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so like after the 6th one, they totally retconned the whole thing.
Why?
Because people didn't really like those movies, and Jamie Lee Curtis wanted to come back to the franchise on like the 20-year anniversary in 1998. So they totally like scrapped 4, 5, and 6 and said that they didn't count, and then they made Halloween H2O, Halloween 20 years later.
You love those, huh?
Halloween, yeah, H2O is H2O is a really good movie, actually. It's like one of like the actually good ones, supposedly, critically. So then H2O totally retconned all those, and it goes 1, 2, H2O, which sees Jamie Lee Curtis return, and then Halloween Resurrection, which is the one with Busta Rhymes.
I've never seen that one.
Yeah, he does karate. It's actually really good. I'll say this right here and now. We'll probably end up doing it on this show. But that's like, people hate that one the most.
Seems like it'd be horrible. Continue.
Yeah, it's but yeah, and then after Resurrection, the series was pretty dormant for like 8 years, and then Robert Zombie.
I've seen that one.
Did two remakes.
I only seen one.
They're really bad. Those are awful.
Coming from you, they must be really bad.
Yeah, they're really bad. I watched Halloween 2007, which is his remake of the first one, like 3 weeks ago. Gave it an F in my movie journal, so it's the only F in there.
In your movie journal?
Yeah, I keep a journal.
Question.
Yeah.
Is which one of them? It's like young Michael Myers, correct?
That's the first one. Yeah.
That's the first one.
That's the first one.
And why is it bad?
It's just one of the most joyless, excessively violent.
I mean, wouldn't it be though?
It's like, it's like the original Halloween actually is pretty devoid of violence, and like it actually has like really good cinematography and acting, and there's like real suspense and intensity. But this movie's just like this little kid like violently killing people with no suspense. It's not shocking, except for the fact that it's kind of gross. And it's just like it's really, and also the kills aren't even interesting or satisfying. It's mostly about a lot of knife work and strangling, and it's nothing cool.
But isn't that how he kills people? It's a lot of knives.
Yeah, he does use a lot of knives, but like again, when it's just the kills, it's like not really as interesting as like having character development.
I guess
and backstory, and people like there's just so many lines in Rob Zombie's Halloween movies where I'm like, who talks like this? People don't talk like this. It's like this guy's never had a conversation with anybody in his whole life.
I hate movies like that.
Yeah. But yeah, then they retconned them again in 2018, which the 2018 version, which you saw.
I liked it.
We watched it together. Halloween 2018 disregards all of the sequels, even this movie that we're talking about today.
Why?
And it's because it makes it easier. It streamlines things. So it's like, I guess we'll call it the David Gordon Green timeline, because he directed Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and he'll direct Halloween Ends, which comes out later this year.
This can wait.
So it goes in the new continuity is Halloween 1978, Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, and it disregards all the other movies. So there's like 3 different timelines basically for Halloween.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think Halloween will actually end?
Oh, I hope not. I hope that they just keep either continuing it or rebooting it like every 10 years until I die. Just
You have like 5 months though, so.
Well, then yeah, I guess Halloween will end for me.
How does he not die?
There's a lot of different explanations. Like this movie, I guess, tried to explain it a little bit. The like 4, 5, and 6 tried to explain it in a really bizarre way. It's just like a lot of it is like supernatural. A lot of it is like he's pure evil, and he's just like he's basically just like the like devil basically, and he's just like literally like the manifestation of evil, so he can't really be killed or whatever.
But like, why wasn't he just a kid or something and tried to murder his family?
He was more than a kid, I guess. He was
spawn of Satan.
Pure evil. It's my Sam Loomis impression.
That was pretty good actually.
Thank you.
I liked it.
So yeah, we'll just go into it bit by bit here. Mr. Sandman playing at the beginning.
I like that.
Like that. Pretty good.
Didn't it play at the end too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I like that. That's a good addition.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy because it's kind of a slow song, but it's also an innocent
slow
song.
Ones,
yeah.
All slow, innocent songs are good in spooky movies.
Agreed.
It's a fact.
Yeah, I agree. Can you believe we've been talking for 16 minutes? Feels like longer than that, doesn't it?
Oh, you're reminiscing?
I am the Little River Band. Because that song reminiscing.
Oh, you got him.
So, I don't know if you know, but the last, maybe conservatively, or the first, like, 10 minutes of this movie is just, like, them rehashing and re-showing the last 10 minutes of 1978. So, do you remember when, like, he's choking Jamie Lee, and then Donald Pleasance comes up and shoots him 6 times?
Yes.
That's the last 10 minutes of Halloween.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess they choose to do this to just be like, hey, remember this?
I mean, that's helpful.
Yeah. And I guess a lot of movies used to do this kind of thing, because, like, home video didn't exist yet. So like
it's home video,
like being able to watch movies on DVD and VHS.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, it didn't exist.
This is 1904. Why wasn't that a thing?
Yeah, I mean, like VHS, I don't think was like a mainstream thing until like for everybody until like the 80s.
So before
like mid 80s.
VHS, there was nothing.
Yeah, I think you would just like you would see a movie in like in theaters.
Oh, what a time to be alive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, home video was not a huge thing, so people would be like, "Man, I haven't seen the first one, and since I saw it in theaters, what happened?" And so they do like a little rehashing. Friday the 13th did this too.
That's cool.
I think home video was around. Let me correct myself. I think home video was around, but it like wasn't like huge.
But like I think as the 80s went on, they got really popular, right?
Yeah, especially like 80s and the 90s for sure. And then by the
What a time.
Yeah.
Not to be that way, but like,
you're so old.
To be able to go to like family video. There's another one, Hollywood Video. Not the other one. Not Blockbuster. Too expensive.
Yeah, my dad would never even let me step foot in there.
Yes, we would. My mom and I would never go. But like we used to go to family video all the time.
Yeah, there was this place in Elyria called Bookseller, which was right over by Big Lots in Elyria, if you know where that is.
No, I don't go to Big Lots.
Yeah, I don't go to Big Lots either. But I'm just saying Bookseller was right across from it. And
Never
it's like a 5-minute drive from my house.
Yes.
So we'd go there all the time. And they had books and tapes and stuff for sale, but then you could also rent stuff. And we'd go there, and it was very cool. It was really cheap to rent movies. And like, I'd be like, every week I'd be like, Mom, can I rent Batman Returns again? And she'd be like, it's the 3rd week in a row, but sure. I'd be like, Mom, can I rent The Little Vampire? And she'd be like, I guess.
He was adorable.
Yeah. I think I watched that movie conservatively like 700 times.
I feel like I remember it being good. I don't know.
It was great. There was like 10 movies I just had on rotation. I would watch over and over and over again.
I'm sad now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like
we're old. I think that's the biggest thing because I think.
Oh yeah, family video doesn't even exist anymore.
No, it doesn't. But like in our time period, like stuff like that was open for years.
Yeah.
Until like Netflix got popular when like we were like high school. I think is when Netflix like took off.
Really blew up.
Because we're old.
Well, because I remember when I was like in middle school and elementary school, Netflix was just like, oh, you send in for DVDs.
Yeah.
And then they send you a DVD in the mail, and like they had nothing on there I wanted to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it sucks though because like we never had video stores when I had like a license and I could just drive and had money to rent stuff. By the time I had like disposable income and like a ride, shit didn't exist anymore.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
I know. What a time that was.
I remember going to Family Video like every week, and there's the same girl who worked there, and then it was just a time to be a movie playing, and I'd be like, wow, what's that? You just be in there for like an hour just trying to find something, then you pick a snack.
And just looking at all the covers of VHS and DVDs that I wouldn't even rent, I'd be like, what the fuck is The Hollow Man? That looks cool. Or like I recognize so many movies just because like I recognize the covers from when I would just wander around movie stores, like video stores all the time. And my mom would be like, all right, me and Dad are going to get one, and you guys have to decide on a movie you want to watch, too. And me and Vince had, like, the hardest time picking a fucking movie.
That's adorable, though.
I know. I'd be like, I want to watch Wallace and Gromit. And Vince would be like, I don't want to watch that, obviously. I'm way older than him. And I'd be like, but Wallace and Gromit.
I've never seen that.
You never seen any Wallace and Gromit movie?
What about Chicken Run?
Yeah, Chicken Run I was big on, too. We had that shit locked down, though. I had a copy of that.
They're made by the same person, right?
Yeah, they DreamWorks, I think?
Yes.
Yeah, animation style. Sorry, I was twisting the
I was like, what is that screechy noise?
Screech. But yeah, anyway.
Talking.
Killed me. But yeah, so Dr. Sam Loomis, aka the greatest character in fiction.
I don't know about that.
Do you know I have a poster of him hanging in my room? Did you know
don't
this?
go to your room.
Yeah, it's a new edition, but it's pretty cool.
That's why I don't know.
It's like from this movie. He's like firing a gun. It's pretty
He's
sweet.
He's fine.
He's excellent in this. He's a terrific actor, and he's great in this role. I mean, you have to agree to that, right? He carries the plot, especially in this movie. He's like with Jamie Lee Curtis mostly sedated. I think he carries like the whole plot of the movie forward.
That's true. I have other personal favorites.
You said I like Jimmy because of his curls.
No.
I had a note about Jimmy's curls though too. So
he had a weird face though. I did like his curls. It seemed like he liked fine. Jamie though.
Yeah, they had a thing. They had an unspoken thing, which I don't think they really spoke on.
They didn't. But you could tell he kept being around.
He
but
held her hand that one time.
what was weird is she was supposedly in high school, right? Stay with me.
She was a senior, I think.
Okay. Because I know she was on like the children's floor or something because she was in high school. Because the nurse said, I gotta watch the kids or whatever. He's a grown man. He said, my brother goes to school with her. He has an actual job. I just thought that was kind of gross.
He's like an EMT though, which is like a 6-month program though. So he
but
could
you can't be like a kid and be an EMT.
He could be like out of school for like 2 years though. He could be like 19. She could be like 17.
She's a minor.
Yeah, that's a good point though.
She
doesn't seem to have a problem with it though.
It doesn't. She was barely like there the entire time.
There were some smiles.
Want a Coke?
Yeah, and she said, "Yeah," with a smile.
Gotta get it next time.
Yeah, I thought that their dynamic was cute.
It was until I was like, "Oh, that is kind of interesting." Carry on.
Do you prefer Bud, his friend, the sleazeball?
He's gross, but he's dating the nurse, so.
I don't think they were dating. I think they were just like.
She's like, "I hate you. I hate you."
Doing the nasty.
She's not the type. I think she would need a little bit more.
That nurse?
She seemed kind of uptight at first. And then she took her dress off.
Yeah, I don't think she was uptight. I think she was just...
She was just what?
Trying to keep up appearances in front of Jimmy, but then when they were alone, she was just playing hard to get.
You say Jimmy? I thought his name was Bud.
No, but when Jimmy was in the room...
Oh.
And then he left, and then...
My bad.
Like, she was so funny, she'd be like, Bud, I hate you. And then he'd kiss her, and then she'd be into it. I'd be like, doesn't make any... I'm like, make it make sense.
She's like, you're so annoying.
Yeah, and he is. He's a total dickhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not great. She was like, I'll just leave the kids and go have sex with you.
Yeah. In a hot tub, just where, like, they used to, like, soothe old people's bed sores or whatever. I mean, why is there a hot tub in this hospital?
I don't know. I know, like, if you watch American Horror Story Asylum.
Is this a plug?
It's a plug. It's a plug.
Did you work on that show?
I did, actually. I was a writer on the show. Check the credits.
I just checked them. You're not there.
You're taking a sip of water with a pen in your other hand, so no, you did not. However, they had, like, those tubs that they would all go in. And it was just, like, warm water and stuff. And they'd all
They
be
still
in
had
them.
that, though? And, like, I mean, American Horror Story takes place in, like, the 40s or something, right?
It could.
Yeah.
Because it has, like, Nazi stuff in it.
Yeah.
But, like...
They still, 40 years later, are like, yeah, hot baths work.
See, they were called therapy tubs. So, I don't know. They said it's a therapy room. I don't really know, you know?
This is my therapy pen. You just slap therapy in front of something, that's good enough.
Anyways, stream American Horror Story on any of your
or maybe don't. That
providers.
season was not as good.
I liked it,
It was
actually.
pretty mid.
You should do an episode just about an entire season of American Horror Story.
I think I would do other seasons, so I don't think I would do that.
You would do the first, or the which one?
I would do like 1 and 3.
Okay.
And then maybe...
We don't even have to go into the
Apocalypse.
others, because that's
about it, though.
that's a lot, and they're not that all great.
So. But yeah, that iconic line where Jamie Lee Curtis is like, Jamie Lee Popcorn Colonel was like, was that the boogeyman? And he's like, I believe it was.
That was pretty good.
That was a famous line.
That was pretty good.
Because like the first one, there's so much talk about the boogeyman, the boogeyman, the boogeyman. And then it's just like, as a fictional being, but then Michael Myers is right there, and she's like, that's gotta be him. And he's like, basically the boogeyman, I guess. You know what I mean? Just a tormentor.
Yeah.
And, you know.
That's true. It made me mad how, like, everybody knew there's a creepy dude on the loose, and they would just be wandering around alone. And I'm like, girl, I don't know. Or like when Jimmy, he went into that dark room, and I was like, maybe don't go into a dark room.
Well, for some reason, and again, I love this movie. I don't want to drag it too much.
Sure.
But for some reason, no one is like worried that Michael's going to go to the hospital after Jamie Lee Curtis at all. Like, even Loomis is only aware of it at the end when he finds out that they're related.
Yes.
I'm like, listen, man, that would have been the first place I went, no matter what, to look for him.
Yeah. Like, everybody was just like...
No one had any idea.
They were just like, I wonder where everybody went.
I know, they said, I couldn't and it's all over the radio, everyone knows. They said I couldn't fathom Michael Myers coming here. No idea.
No, and they were just all, okay. And I'm like, maybe... I don't know, maybe just don't split up as much. Maybe be more cautious about where you're going.
Yeah.
But no. Only Jamie Lee Curtis knew what was up, and that's why she left.
Jamie Lee Popcorn Curtis?
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I gotta say that my favorite line in the movie when it happens pretty much right at the beginning, when that guy comes out and he's like, what's all the ruckus, man? I've been trick-or-treated to death tonight. And he's like, you don't know what death is. And then he runs away. Do you remember that? When Loomis says that?
Yes, I do, actually.
He just scampers away. What a thing. That guy's probably like, what the hell is that guy talking about? What's the bug on that guy's butt? It's just such a random line.
I like that saying.
Yeah, bug on his butt. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, you like the opening credits, though? Where it's the pumpkin and it opens up inside the skull?
I really liked that. I thought it was cool and it was cute.
Yeah, I did.
Kind of creepy.
Yeah, I like the pumpkin. They did that with the first one. And they do it with the 2018 Halloween Ends, where like the opening credits have pumpkins.
That's where I recognized it from.
I think they pretty much knocked it off.
Oh, is
after this movie?
Why it feels familiar to me? Okay.
And for like Halloween 4, 5, 6, H2O, they don't really do that kind of stuff, which is a bummer because I really like these opening credits. I think they're very cool. But yeah, so Michael, he's shot out the window, and then he's mysteriously gone.
Yes.
Pretty cool. And then he steals that knife from those old people. Doesn't kill them, which I thought was surprising. Do you remember?
I do remember.
He just shows up in the back of the kitchen, pretty creepily.
And she puts her hand on it, and she she's just like smearing her hand on something, and then she's like,
I know. She's like, what's there? She's like, I was making ham sandwiches for me and Roy, and now there's just Frank's Red Hot everything. This isn't Frank's Red Hot. This is blood, or whatever.
Why is he so selective about people he kills?
That's a good question. People say that like maybe he has a code in these early movies, like that he doesn't kill children, or like maybe old people or something. But I don't know. It's a great question because he kills that young girl in the next scene with like no hesitation whatsoever.
No, yeah.
Or maybe he only kills like young women and young men, like for some reason. I don't know. But yeah. He lets those people.
Because he could have just killed those old people. And then I remember he was walking down the street, and this like young guy runs into him. He just keeps walking, like it doesn't matter. But like for certain people, he's like death right now.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's cool though because when he goes into that girl's house, like the camera's focused on her, and like you could see him in the background, but it's like faded out.
Yes.
And you can only see like his like rough shape because it's like focused on her. Mm-hmm. It's a cool shot. I like that very much. And I'm like, first of all, ma'am, keep your doors locked. Like, I don't know what the early 80s were like, but I've never not locked my door in my house when I'm alone.
No, I think it was still part of the time where they're like, everything's safe.
Yeah,
I know my
pre
neighbor
9/11.
would. Oh.
Not that it has anything to do with locking your doors, but I'm just saying I feel like the '80s isn't like, you know. You should have been locking your doors.
Yes, you should always lock your doors. You never know, you know?
I know. And maybe she would have. She was literally on the phone being like, who was killed? Maybe her next move would have been like, let me lock that.
I mean,
but
you'd think as soon as you come in from where you were at, you should
that's
lock the
what
door
I
behind
do.
you.
That's what I do.
Because that just makes sense.
Yeah. I actually, Saturday night, I came home like drunk, and I forgot to lock the door, and my parents scolded me about it the next morning. So, like, you know.
Hey, just how old are you?
16? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I forgot to mention there was a Easter egg in the old people's home. Not the old people, like the old couple's home where he steals a knife. The old man is watching George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. So that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
I've actually never seen the original either because it's in black and white. You know how I feel about black and white.
I like black and white movies a lot, actually.
I really don't like it. And that's a really unpopular opinion. I think everyone I talk to is like, it's weird that you don't like black and white movies.
It is interesting because you're a movie snob.
I know, but I just like, if there's no color, it's just like my brain just like shuts off. I don't know. It's like a visual medium, man. I don't know. Maybe
true.
Make it pop. Make it pop.
They just couldn't at that time. I don't know how that works in the technology of it.
I'll be honest with you, I don't either. But let's retroactively go back, make it pop.
Okay.
Yeah.
You should work on that, actually.
Yeah, Okay. Okay, let me just do a. But yeah, in the original Halloween, they were watching like the 1950s The Thing.
That's cool.
So yeah, it seems like in all these movies, there's like homages to like past horror movies. In Halloween 3, actually, the anthology one, which if you've never seen that movie, you should because it's bonkers, batshit crazy. It's about like it's awesome.
You think all of them are good though?
No, that one especially because it's like a cult film or whatever.
Sure.
And it's about like, I'll just do a brief summary of Halloween 3. Let's get into the weeds on it. So like, there's this alcoholic deadbeat dad doctor who is trying to like stop kids from buying these Halloween masks because these Halloween masks have little microchips in them with pieces of Stonehenge. And when they watch a certain commercial, the microchips in the masks turns their brains into snakes and bugs.
I need you to stop right there.
I know, that's a lot. That's the basic premise of the movie. They come across a witch's conspiracy inside of a corporation that makes Halloween masks. It's one of the it's one of those movies where I saw it on AMC Fear Fest when I was a kid, and I was like, Halloween 3. Sorry. Maybe touch your toe. I was like, Halloween 3, where's Michael Myers? When's Michael Myers going to show up? But like, I watched it again as an adult, and I was just like, this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
I'm gonna jot that.
Yeah, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
I'm gonna get this from the library. That's insane.
Yeah, it's a bananas fucking movie.
It seems so good.
I think John Carpenter and Deborah Hill produced it. And it's directed by Tommy Lee Wallace.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, who was like John Carpenter's like main man and editor of the first Halloween.
Yes.
And then they wanted him to direct this movie, but he said no because he didn't like the script. But yeah, he directed the It. You remember the It 1990 miniseries?
Never seen it. Heard of it.
Yeah, he directed that.
I lied.
Yeah, everyone.
Lied because I like to say this now. I'm in love with Tim Curry.
Yeah.
I got close for that.
You got it on the record.
Tim Curry.
You can back up a little bit.
If you're listening right now,
I guarantee he's not.
Here's my proposal. You are in your 70s. Age is nothing but a number.
PG. Okay.
It's PG still.
Okay.
Could have not been.
Just making sure.
But it is.
But yeah, he stabs that girl upward and through the neck.
Love that.
Pretty good.
Love that, actually.
Yeah. This movie was criticized actually for upping the gore and the blood.
I didn't think it was that gory.
I know. And maybe that's because like we're kind of desensitized because of what we've seen in movies since then. But like people like Roger Ebert, who's like obviously like some sort of waspy, holier than thou fuck. It's just like blood and guts.
The
it's
only
not very Christian or whatever.
Real bloody part was like with one of those nurses, and there was like that thing like in her throat or whatever, and it was just dripping down, and then Jimmy slips, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot of blood.
Exactly, but it's just blood.
But all the other kills
were
like
blood on the ground.
Yeah, it's not anything.
And there's like a little blood spurt here, but like
I didn't think it was bad. I think a lot of the kills were very cool. I liked when that nurse from the back with the scalpel, he said her shoes popped off.
That's like an iconic image, like
I
him
love
holding
it.
her up with that
It's
scalpel.
great.
That's perfect. Spoiler alert. No, that's not my favorite kill, but that was a runner-up.
No, I have a list of favorite kills.
Oh, okay.
However, that is definitely
Yeah,
one
we'll
of
get
them.
into it, because I kept a kill count up here. I don't know if you can see that. I kept a kill count.
You have great handwriting, by the way.
Thanks. All the good it does me.
I'm joking.
My handwriting is actually probably better than yours. Your handwriting is not very good.
I don't write.
Yeah, Jimmy has some curls because we flashed to Lori being taken to the hospital in the ambulance by Jimmy. Got a nice head of hair.
It's fine.
Oh my god.
There wasn't any eye candy for me in this movie. Would have liked more.
I mean, it was early 80s. I don't know who was attractive. You know what I mean?
They said white, and that was it.
Yeah. That one nurse was African American. The one who gets the IV drip.
Was she?
Yep. She definitely
You
was.
said I looked it up.
I made a note. I said African American nurse? Progressive.
Gotta have the one.
Yeah. I guess. That's a good point. But yeah, did you know Jamie Lee Curtis is wearing a wig in this movie?
It's a good wig.
It's a really bad wig. Looks horrible. What do you mean?
I didn't think it looked bad.
Watch it now knowing that it's a wig. And also watch her in the first one.
Okay.
And then watch this movie and it's like completely different. It looks crazy.
This might not be a popular opinion. I don't think she's attractive anyways. So I think anytime I see her on screen, I'm like, she looks bad regardless.
I don't think she's unattractive. I think there is like... I don't know. Maybe it's just like...
She's just skinny and white.
Yeah.
Her lips are also really small.
I do like her... When she does have like long hair, like in the first movie, I do like her hair. But yeah, I don't know. Her bone structure and stuff is not very defined anywhere.
I think she just looks plain, and I think it's like the main thing for her to be like the main girl.
Yeah.
I guess you'd expect a little bit more.
Well, I think that's because like in the first one, she's like the nerd friend, and she's like the, you know, the.
I have no recollection.
Yeah,
of the first
she's
one.
like she's not like the hot one of her
okay.
friend group. She's like that, but that's why she survives because she's smart and she's aware, and she may be a little plain Jane, but like she's an academic, so that's why she survives.
I will say she looks exactly the same now.
Yeah, she's aged pretty decently.
If you haven't seen it, Everywhere, Everything All at Once or whatever it's called. Very good movie.
Great plug. Don't remember the title. Good job.
It's like Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think.
That movie actually just charged you money.
Anyways,
rather than giving you money for
you to
that
be a movie buff,
plug.
you should have seen it because the most bizarre, crazy, insane movie, but still interesting.
Yeah, I'll probably go see it, okay?
It's not in the movies anymore.
Yeah, I'll wait for DVD. I'll wait for it on DVD. Or streaming services.
After that, give me feedback. And I also need to watch it again because it was just crazy. But interesting and confusing. And Jamie Lee Curtis is cool in it.
I didn't even know she was in that movie.
Yeah,
Pretty
she
cool.
is actually.
Yeah, I mean, she's great. She's a terrific actress. She's really good. And I think that kind of...
Dad's a great actor, R.I.P. Put that pen down.
He's all right.
He was good, and he was handsome.
Whatever that movie was we watched with him, and I didn't really like.
I like Some Like It Hot. It was good. It's a slapstick comedy,
We
so it's not
actually-
necessarily funny.
We turned
se.
it off halfway through.
I've
so
seen
I
it like
don't
3
know
other times without you, so.
how much you liked it.
I don't think you like old movies.
That's not true.
It is true. What old movie do you like?
The Hustler with Paul Newman.
For you to be a movie
Anything
buff,
with
it took
James
you a long
Dean?
time to do that.
No, I'm just rattling them off though.
That one movie's really good.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, Paul Newman,
Go ahead.
Cat on the Hot Tin Roof.
Yeah,
That's a
that
fantastic movie.
The movie is pretty good.
And he's drop dead gorgeous. Like,
Yeah.
his jeans, blessed.
Like his blue jeans.
Yep, his blue jeans.
Dude, his popcorn though.
The
His
hell
salad
are you
dressing.
talking about?
Newman's Own.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good.
I don't
Just,
really
just spilling out
buy
about
that.
his jeans is salad dressing.
Ew.
What
What
is
flavor?
Vinaigrette.
No, it has to be something creamy. I'm
No, it
sorry.
doesn't.
I'm sorry.
You're fired.
I didn't mean it like
Out of a cannon into
I didn't
the
even
sun.
mean it like
Yeah.
that. I meant something like Parmesan type of cream-based dressing. You know the vibes.
We all knew what you meant.
Or like a ranch.
Ew.
A Caesar maybe is what I meant when I said Parmesan. I meant
Okay,
Caesar.
yeah.
You ever had Caesar?
I've had Caesar
Woo,
dressing, yeah.
baby,
It's
that's good.
alright.
It's
Yeah,
good,
right.
flavorful. I like cheese.
Don't really mess with it.
Croutons.
Vinaigrette.
Thank you for
Excuse me, burps.
giving
I'm
me
so
your
sorry.
salad
I'm
order.
so sorry. You know, I don't go out anywhere. I don't really necessarily have a salad order.
I've never ordered a salad from a restaurant. I don't think.
Unless, like, they're like, what's your before thing? They're like, soup or salad. I always choose salad.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I guess I've had soup and salad
So you're a liar.
at like Olive Garden or whatever. But I always have like the smallest amount of salad, and I just focus on the soup and the
I
breadsticks.
eat that salad. I eat it a lot.
I know. I noticed because we usually we did finish the salad, but I never had any of it.
It was
so
me.
it was all you.
Would you like to go out to the Olive Garden someday?
Perhaps. I haven't went there in a while.
Are you free anytime this week?
Let's not make plans on the air.
Trying to hold you on the air.
We're on the airwaves.
What are you doing tomorrow?
Booked up.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you have a job. Lame.
You have a job too. You're just on vacation.
Hey.
But yeah, I'll go through 5 bowls of the zuppa toscano soup for
that
sure.
soup is good.
Yes,
so.
the best soup they got.
It is. I never tried any other ones. Cause
I had
why?
the mini stroni that one time. Yep.
How do you pronounce it? Mini stroni.
Mini stroni. I'm sticking to it.
I feel like it's
Tripling
either
down.
minestrone
It's
or
minestrone.
minestrone. Not mini stroni.
I'm gonna go with mini stroni because it sounds funny and stupid.
Like someone I know.
Yeah. Do you remember that scene in this movie? Back to the movie.
Sorry.
When that guy dressed up kind of like Michael Myers
Oh, yeah.
gets hit and then killed in that explosion.
Yep.
Crazy, right? Number one, why are you walking around in a Michael Myers costume? Where'd you get that costume? They're just selling Michael Myers masks and whites.
That is a fair.
I know. He's just cosplaying as Michael Myers before Michael Myers is like even a thing in your community. What a coincidence.
That is interesting. And then they're like, we need to check the dental, blah, blah, blah.
Oh yeah, that was crazy because he's like, yeah, dental records could take a fucking really long time, and Loomis is like, we don't have time.
And then they're like, I guess we do really have to go through them or whatever.
Yeah.
Then they find that.
Yeah, then that kid's like, hey, Ben
Yeah.
Tramer didn't come home. He was really drunk, wearing a mask.
They're like,
And I'm like, oh, that explains kind of why he was not responding, because people were like, hey, stop, and he just kept walking. And I'm like,
did they just run him into the thing?
no, another just passing car just ran into him and
Oh.
then ran him into an ambulance and it exploded. Like Ben Tramer was like made of dynamite or something. Like he had literally
R.I.P.
like lighter fluid in his veins.
That's really sad.
It actually is really sad because you don't probably know this because you don't remember the first movie, but Ben Tramer is actually Laurie's crush. She had a crush on him in the first movie.
Oh, bless her heart. How
Yeah.
would you feel if your crush died right now?
Pretty bummed out. Is
it helping?
God.
It is helping though. It is indeed. But yeah, and he has a candy bag. He's trick or treating for no reason.
How old
he's
is
like
he?
17.
Okay.
Obviously. He's like 17 years old. But yeah, and like Dr. Loomis is already just like trying to shoot this guy
Yeah.
because he's like, I'm pretty sure he's Michael Myers. He doesn't know.
Oh, whoa, that was gross.
Yeah, sorry, I had a little phlegm.
You could have just
Leave it all on the field for you
You
guys.
could have kept it. I'm sorry. He said, I got some phlegm.
You got some phlegm.
You get some snot bubbles in your throat.
Oh yeah, when don't I? It's the weather
Disgusting.
change.
Okay.
But yeah, the image of Ben Tramer burning against the ambulance is
It's
pretty
pretty
cool.
cool.
Pretty
Yeah.
cool. Don't know how they did that exactly. Maybe some sort of mannequin. I don't know.
Just like you.
Yeah. And then that guy, you probably don't know who he is, but the sheriff,
Yes.
Sheriff Brackett, is from the first movie, and his daughter is one of Laurie's friends,
Uh-huh.
and she gets killed. So the guy's like, hey man, Annie's dead. And then he just departs the movie.
I remember that part.
Yeah, because he's like, I gotta go tell my wife before
So-
someone else does.
So his daughter died. Is that what happened there? He didn't seem distraught.
Yeah, Charles Cyphers is
Because
interesting
I was
actor.
trying to
Yeah.
feel it out, and I said, I know someone died. I said, does he know her? Because he's not
It's
sad.
literally his only daughter, so yeah, he knew her.
He said, oh, gotta
Maybe
go.
he's in shock.
gotta
I
go
guess
tell him-
maybe
That's true.
Maybe they didn't know how to depict shock. Oh, sorry, stretching a little bit. I need you to keep your foot on your own side or something.
My legs hurt.
Mine do too. I worked today.
Barely. You had your Nike Monarchs. You're fine. Your back's fine. Your legs
You're
are
right. My arch support is out of this fucking world.
And ugly. I'm sorry.
She doesn't mean that. Nike Air Monarch remains a sponsor of the show.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Also, the shoes are ugly.
Please send me a free pair.
Size
in the red,
3.5.
in the red and black. But yeah, so they really think that Ben Tramer guy was Michael Myers, I think. And maybe that's why no one really cares or is like concerned about their safety, because they think they killed Michael Myers. Because people are dead ass be like, it was him. It had to be him.
And people were like, it was taking a long time to really find out. So they're like, it's him.
They said, let's just not really worry about it. But yeah, so then if we flash back to the hospital, we see Laurie's there. She's kind of doped up. You know, they have the Coke exchange with Jimmy. They're cute.
That was cute, actually. And the lady has to keep coming in.
I know, she's like,
gotta
Jimmy,
go.
Jimmy, leave her alone. And I'm like, don't you have other patients, nurse?
Yeah, she was actually being kind of irritating.
I know. I'm like, what do you have against Jimmy? She's just trying to flirt, you know?
I don't think that was the initial thing you were going to say.
It's
but
not. I just wanted to keep it.
Okay. PG?
Yeah.
All right.
Keep it copacetic here. But yeah, so we see Michael Myers, and he's literally downtown. They're like, he's dead, and then we see him downtown, and they see him. They're like, hospital, and there's a sign that says hospital with an arrow, and then we see him walking toward it. We know where he's going.
And like the cop car is like,
I know,
right past them, and I'm like, that's funny to me.
They do that all the time. That happened a bunch in the first movie, which is really cool.
It is cool, just frustrating.
Yeah. Also, you love the killer cam where it's Michael's point of view, and you see through his eye holes.
I do actually enjoy that, and I find it very interesting that they do
These
that.
movies definitely pioneered that for sure.
It's pretty cool.
But yeah, so we catch up with Bud and a bunch of other people at the hospital. Bud's total cock. At one point, he says that he doesn't like mushrooms, I think, on his pizza.
He did say that.
Yeah, which I was like, I respect that. I don't like mushrooms either.
Well, it's not a popular opinion, but all right.
Yeah, well, it's just wet, no taste. So
you know all about that, huh?
You guys just heard a dap.
Yep.
Yep, that's what that was. But yeah, and we see Michael is literally seen stalking around the hospital on security camera footage, which I don't know how you felt. I loved that, like how they kept flashing the security camera footage.
Yes,
and it was grainy, and you said like you could track people's movements around the hospital that way. I thought that was very cool. Big fan of that. Very suspenseful, because it'd be like, oh man, he's right there, and now you're there now, nurse. He's right next to you, but you don't know. Only I know.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. every worker.
Healthcare workers.
Like, all these essential workers at the hospital.
Died. Because that's just really sad.
But yeah, Michael's in the hospital. And then there's a scene where Laurie's literally like, hey, Jimmy, why me? Why do you think that Michael Myers guy came after me? And he's just like, yeah, I don't know. He was in this asylum for so long. He broke out. I don't know. And she's like, the black nurse hates Jimmy is one of my notes.
She does.
Yeah,
maybe he's annoying. We didn't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe he's just like a total nuisance.
Probably.
He's like, I'm just like nurse. I'm kind of bored. What do I do?
Is that like things EMTs do? They just chill out in hospitals?
I assume so. When there's like no emergency calls. I guess in a sleepy town like that too. I mean.
Because I never thought about that before, but I was like, is that really something they do?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I assume they spend time at the hospital. When they're not busy on calls.
That makes sense to me.
But yeah, they're unable to contact Laurie's parents for some reason.
Why is that?
We know they were at a party because that's what they said in the last movie. But now, everyone in this town has heard that like a bunch of teenagers have been murdered. You'd think you'd get home and try to contact your daughter, but they're just not really.
Her parents don't care about her.
Yeah, her parents not the best. But yeah, we find out that the phones are down, and we see that Michael walking around. He has a scalpel now because we see his hand pick up a scalpel.
Yes.
So I mean, it's on.
It is on.
It's on. But yeah, and we see the security guy go outside to check like the power lines and the phone lines, and he sees that there's been tamperings. He said someone's been messing with this.
R.I.P. What was his name?
Mr. Garrett or Garrick, one of those.
I think it's Garrett.
Garrett.
Let's go with Garrett.
But yeah,
she's like, hello.
Yeah.
And he's like saying a bunch of stuff. And, it's really sad.
Do you remember when he gets scared by that cat?
Yeah.
That cat jumps on his face. I was like, is that Elvira?
That's funny.
A lot of good cat stuff in this movie. There's not a lot. That's it.
There's only one cat, but it's more cats than I expected to see.
You should always do a cat count in movies.
Keep a cat. It's just one usually. Sometimes, most times, none.
I miss my cat.
I do. I miss your cat as well. He
Probably sleep.
Yeah,
I gotta
probably.
be honest, yeah.
But yeah, so this guy literally. Do you remember this sequence where this guy finds like 3 broken locks on doors? He just keeps finding doors with broken locks on them. He's like, huh. And then he goes through them and he finds like another door with another broken lock. And he's like, huh.
At some point, you gotta be like, oh, something fishy's going on here. It's probably not safe.
Yeah,
because all these locks are
someone
broken.
is obviously. And I don't know. Maybe it's just like these people, cops, security guards, think they're like invincible or whatever. He's like, I've got a gun.
He's overweight in his 50s.
Yeah,
I don't
this
think
dude,
he should.
yeah.
He should not think that.
But yeah, and he's trying to talk to the nurse who he gave that walkie-talkie to, but she said she didn't know how to work it, and you didn't bother to teach her how to work it, so kind of screwed yourself on that one. So he hears a clatter in the other room, and he investigates. And then Michael just hits him with a claw hammer.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I
didn't
like that one. That was a good one.
I felt bad for him.
Michael said, I don't want to use the regular hammer end. He said, let me flip it around. And gets just stuck. You see it go into the tufts of that guy's hair, and I'm like, oh, Mr. Garrett.
He was a good guy. R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. He was trying to do a service, you know. He's probably not getting paid a lot. He's a security guard
in the 80s.
Literally just lost his life. I did wonder though, like, why is Michael already broke in, and we've seen him moving around the hospital? Why is he now back at where he broke in? Why is he in this area now? Just because this guy's in this area? I'm sorry.
And how does he know?
Yeah, like it's just like I'm like, Michael broke in, and we've seen him other places. This is the last place I'd expect him to be, but for some reason he is here to kill this guy.
No, like if he was thinking, he'd be like, oh, I immediately broke in. Let me just try to find him.
Yeah, exactly. Let me try to find Jamie Lee Curtis.
But he took a bunch of stops. He killed that nurse and Bud, and then he just kept killing people, and it's like, maybe just look for Lord.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he seems like obviously a very intelligent guy. He cut the phone lines, you know?
Sure.
He broke several locks.
Sure.
He set up a fucking IV drip, for God's sake, on that woman.
That was creative.
Who taught you how to do that? Who taught you how to do an IV
A lot
drip?
of blood on the floor.
Yeah. But yeah, that's an interesting kill, though. I like that. Although, you know, of course, it does beg the question of, you know, how he knows how to do that. I mean, he spent like 15 years in a mental institute and then broke out immediately. So, like, I don't know
How does he break out?
Oh, it's never really shown in the first movie. They just arrive at the sanitarium, and then like all the prisoners have escaped, and then Michael like throws Loomis and the nurse from the car and steals their car and drives away. In Rob Zombies, they show it, but like, yeah. But yeah, so they examine the charred corpse of that they think is Michael Myers, but it's like, oh, this kid's like 17 or 18. So Loomis is like, hey, he'd be much older than that. And then he convinced this new deputy, Hunt, who's like the replacement for Brackett in this movie, and he convinces him to go back out. So they're looking for Myers again. But of course, the last place they look is the hospital.
In your spare time, I think you should just do like Dr. Loomis.
I'm gonna go as him for Halloween this year. I've already decided.
Oh, that's cool. How does he dress?
It's June.
It is June.
He just wears like a suit with a tan overcoat. And he has like a weird half beard thing.
Do you have a half beard?
I could grow one.
Okay.
Certainly. Oh yeah, so they go to Michael's home, his childhood home first, and it's like being ransacked and destroyed.
Yes.
By like people who are angry about him killing all these people, which I guess makes sense. This would make sense as the first stop to go to his childhood home. Yeah. That makes kind of sense. But yeah. And they are called away to an elementary school because there's been a break-in or something. Back at the hospital, Bud starts hooking up with that nurse.
Yes. She becomes topless.
Did you see how tender they were kissing, though? Did that make you? Did that do anything for you?
Excuse me?
They were just like the kissing was like really. I was like.
I think it was like it was
really gentle.
It was a lot for the time. I was like, I didn't expect.
Well, and it wasn't like, you know how people usually kiss in sex scenes where it's like It was like, I'm like, this is oddly tender. Their mouths are barely even opening.
I don't know if I would say tender.
I would say so. I would say gentile. I was like, it's
a
not
Gentile, like in the Bible.
Maybe.
Isn't it just gentle?
Yeah, I'm saying it in a way.
Oh.
Um,
So that did something for you.
no, it didn't do anything for me. I was just surprised. I was just like, Especially you would expect a guy like Bud to just be like hard mouth kissing, but like this guy's.
He knows how to treat the ladies.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised.
That's why she's like, I hate you.
I
And then
know.
she's like, I'll meet you there.
I know. Maybe he's just really.
Maybe he has a big penis. You're thinking it. I'm saying it.
No, that's not where I was going. I'm just saying
Oh.
maybe he's like a really, really like
He's a nice guy.
just a good lover. You know what I mean?
It's the same thing.
No, you don't have to have a big peen. You can just like no. You can just be attentive. I'm gay. I'm just kidding.
It's okay.
But then we
He's
see
bisexual, actually.
you're gonna out me on the pod. I'm just kidding. I'm not bisexual. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Happy Pride Month.
It is June. But yeah, so we see Lori is in bed, and we see a flashback sequence. Remember this flashback sequence where it's in her dream,
Oh, yes.
and like she's talking to her mom, and she's like, "I told you I'm not your mother," and it's like, "What the fuck?" And there's like blood dripping, and you see Lori visit someone in a mental hospital, like a young boy who looks,
I
of
remember
course,
that.
a lot like Michael, because like this is the movie that introduced the twist that like Lori and Michael were siblings.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, it's a big
Big
thing.
thing.
People didn't really like it. John Carpenter hated it.
Why?
Because people think it's scarier if there's no motive. If he's just randomly killing people, because I guess it makes it more realistic, and it means
Does
it could
it,
happen.
though?
It means it could happen to anybody.
Yeah. I mean, regardless, he does just kill a bunch of random people
Yeah.
without
So like
a
you don't want
motive.
to be you don't want to be around the sibling either.
But I think it does
Yeah.
explain why he keeps targeting the same
Well,
person
that's the
over and
thing.
over again.
That's the thing. My lizard dumb brain loves an explanation. I've always liked the connection because it made it make sense.
Because it just should.
Well, yeah, and as a little kid, I was just like, I'll never get killed by this fucking guy. I'm not related to him, so I'm in the clear.
And then you become a young man and he kills you anyways.
Yeah, I become a young man, a young EMT named Bud, and,
Yep.
and I'm just trying to get some.
I like that you chose Bud and not Jimmy.
I kind of, if I were to grow my hair in like a weird monkey's bowl cut, I think I would look kind
Could
of
you
like
do that?
Bud. Yeah, because he has a big nose.
You should do. Oh, you should. He has a big nose,
He has a
guys. You
big
heard it
nose,
here.
Yeah.
You should grow your hair out.
No, I should not. Anyway,
Shoulder length.
it's a lot longer than Bud's hair. But yeah, so I always like this, and also there's a scene in the first movie, which you obviously don't remember, but Michael puts the gravestone of the older sister that he murdered as a child, which sent him to the sanitarium.
Yes.
He puts her gravestone, and he displays it like in a bed and like all of Lori's dead friends are surrounding it. So it's just like I think that wouldn't make any sense if Lori and Michael weren't related. Because like why would you put the gravestone of your shared sister
Yes.
in like in this like set up this whole ritualistic murder scene thing if like that gravestone isn't related to her somehow.
That makes perfect sense.
But I don't know. Yeah, people really hate that twist, and that's why like in the new movies, like the 2018 and Halloween Kills, they completely disregarded that aspect of it. And Michael and Laurie are not sisters anymore, or brother and sister.
Are you serious?
Mhm.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
That's lame, actually.
Yeah, I don't. It's I mean, I understand why they did it, but it's just like I personally like an explanation. But yeah, so Bud and that dumb nurse start having sex, and they get killed.
They didn't make it that far.
Yeah, they start. Yeah, you're
They
right.
were just kissing, and
They were
then
just
she said,
kissing.
"It's hot."
Because Michael was like turning up the heat, I guess.
She was like, "It'll get cold in here if you don't go and check."
Yeah, that was a good line.
Yeah.
I said, I think I wrote down, "Go women."
R.I.P. him
Yeah.
though, because he died.
Yeah, he did get that was cool. Like seeing him get killed, like unfocused
That
in
was
the
on
background.
one of mine,
yeah,
actually.
Yeah, that was a good one. It was very subtle, but like
It was, and then she's just like, covering herself up, and then just gets
I know
suffocated
she's
in the
kissing his
water.
hand.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Ugh."
I'm like, first of all, that man's gonna have the dirtiest hands.
You know he
covered in
doesn't
bl-
wash 'em.
Covered in blood and
Yeah.
dirt.
She said,
I know. Bud probably has nasty hands too. I bet.
Yeah, but like he wasn't talking the
Yeah.
entire time. Bud talks a lot,
Talks
it
a lot.
seems. And she's like, I know you're upset, I'm sorry. And then it just
But seeing him but the way that kill was a good one. I don't know
It
if
was
that
a
was
good
your
kill. It
favorite,
was
but
one
that's
of them,
another
yeah.
runner-up. You need to first of all, I told
I
you
need
that
to pick one.
you need
I
to pick
couldn't
one.
pick one. There's too many.
But like when because he like drowns her and he also is like scalding her face.
yeah.
So then he like throws her on the ground when she's dead, and the face is all like gnarled and mangled and burned. I said, pretty good effects.
How are
Looking
his
pretty
hands not all messed up though?
Because he doesn't even feel pain, dog.
That's creepy.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
Are you looking at my notifications?
Dharma Hobart?
Right. Yeah, it's a text message.
I can read upside down. Pretty cool, right?
That's surprising, actually. Given the fact that you can't read.
I can't read right side up, actually. I read every book upside down.
It's funny.
But yeah, so
I'm sorry.
my guest is on her phone texting.
I have plans at 9:30. I was asking her if it could be a little bit later.
9:30 tonight?
You're 100.
It's 8:46 p.m. I'm just letting
You're 100 years
know.
old.
She's not going to make
I'm
these
going
plans.
to the gym.
She goes to the gym with you?
J-I-M. Yeah.
You going to Jim's house?
Yeah, I'm going to Jim's house.
But yeah, so they're at the school, and they find traces of Michael's blood everywhere. Remember, there's a break-in at the school, so Loomis and all the cops go there. And they see that Sam Hain is written on the wall. Do you know what Sam Hain is?
I don't, but I remember that part.
Yeah. So this is where the occult connection comes in. So Sam Hain is like a pagan ritual. It's like Halloween is like based on this ritual, or like
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Keep going.
Yeah, and I think he tries to it's like a pagan ritual that that Loomis explains, and it has it's why people wear costumes and stuff to ward off, and do jack-o'-lanterns and stuff to ward off evil spirits and stuff. I'm probably butchering this completely, so feel free to look up what Sam Hain.
Happy Halloween! Oh, I love
But
this.
Michael writing Sam Hain on the board in his own blood, obviously indicates that he's somehow connected with the occult, and that's how he's able to do this kind of stuff.
Oh.
He's like pagan rituals or something is how he's being powered or whatever.
That's cool.
But and Loomis is totally hip to this. He knows all about Sam Hain, even though he's a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really know how that works, but yeah, that woman Marion comes back.
The blonde woman?
No, the dark-haired woman who's Dr. Loomis. You've been ordered back by the governor. Brown-haired lady. That whole scene, she comes to the school and they drive back in the car, and she's there at the end.
She had brown hair.
She had brown hair.
I thought she had blonde hair. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I thought that woman was pretty. Marion, good bone
That's
structure.
a choice. I don't remember what she looked like. Must have not been impressive.
I mean, this movie overall on the hotness scale is not the best.
All movies you should rate with the hotness scale. You should add that. Is
Yeah.
it mean? Kind of.
Yeah,
but
I mean, she's the best looking woman in this movie, I think, because she's got good bone structure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she's still white. I know you're a version to white women.
What do you mean?
But
I know yours.
But yeah, so there's lots of intercutting of Michael walking around the hospital on the security camera, really cool. And then Laurie is found unresponsive by Jimmy, and then he goes to try to find the nurses and Dr. Mixter,
Yes.
the alcoholic the drunk doctor that took care of her in the beginning.
There's a needle in his eyeball.
Yeah, there's that's such a cool shot too.
It is.
Because she's like, Dr. Mixter?
Just
Dr.
keep
Mixter?
saying it, yeah.
And then he's obviously turned away, motionless at his desk, kind of slumped. And I'm like, honey, this guy's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turned around and there's a hypodermic needle stabbed in his eye. Which this is a really cool way Michael was killing people too, because he was just straight up stabbing people and then injecting oxygen into their which will kill you if you get an oxygen injected into your bloodstream. It kills you automatically.
Yes.
So he did that to this guy's eye, and then he does it to the young nurse who came looking for.
That's so sad.
I
She
know.
didn't deserve that.
No, none of these people really do.
No.
But yeah, we get to see it go into the side of her temple.
I didn't like
Pretty
that.
cool. I don't know how they do this kind of stuff. I wrote the Bud deserved worse. Actually, as a note.
I mean, everybody else did die more gruesome than him, I feel.
Yeah.
Also, it was from afar. Maybe if you could have seen it a little bit closer.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know how you think about Michael's mask. Because the masks just change in every single movie.
It was funny. Do you remember, there's a scene where the girl's getting out of the car and you see him in the left mirror.
Yeah.
It looks funny and crooked, and I was like, sir, you look crazy.
Yeah, this mask, it's the same mask from the first movie.
Yes.
But I guess it was sitting under producer Deborah Hill's bed for 3 years. And she was a chain smoker. So the hair got all yellowed and messed up, and it got all dingy and gross. And
Why
then
would she just keep it under her bed?
I don't know, man. Hollywood
That's
producers.
disgusting,
Yeah.
actually.
They said something for me to hold on to. It's a memento. And then she's like, "Oh, we got to use that for the new film."
And she said, I know it's a memento, but I don't really care. And
Yeah.
just shoved it under her
Yeah,
bed.
right. But yeah, and also I guess the mask looks kind of funny because the guy who played Michael Myers in this movie chunkier than the guy who played him in the first movie. So the mask fits his face more tightly.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I said Myers' mask is weird looking due to Dick Puffy Warlock's face, because the guy's name is Dick Warlock. Yeah, I said Dick.
That's a cool name.
I said Dick Puffy Warlock. Puffy's his nickname. Puffy Dick Warlock.
Like P. Diddy?
Nope.
Yeah,
I don't
just
know.
like P. Diddy. He's called Puffy. So.
People call P. Diddy Puffy?
Oh my god, I was talking to somebody and they referred to him as Puffy, and I was like, you should be embarrassed, bro.
Yeah, because, like, isn't P. Diddy already a nickname? That's not his real name.
It's Sean Combs.
Yeah, you just made a nickname out of a nickname. I don't think you can do that. But yeah, Michael Myers attempts to enter Laurie's room and stab her, but just pillows.
Because she's a queen. She knew.
I know.
She knew.
I know. With, like, literally, she just woke up, realized there was no one around her, and then was just like, gotta bounce.
Yeah, she went into, like, flight and fight or whatever. That's not right.
Fight and flight. You get both. You're literally flying, punching people.
But that's essentially what she did. She's like, I'm getting out of here, bro.
But yeah, Laurie is seen stumbling through the halls on the security cam.
Yes.
First time she's active in the entire movie because she's been mostly KO'd. But yeah, we see Michael stalking her menacingly on the security cams. And then we see Laurie hide in her room and fall asleep. There was a cut scene, I guess, where they administered drugs to her again.
Oh.
And that's why she's still, like,
Woozy, kind of.
woozy and loopy, kind of. But they cut that. So, like, you're, like, thinking,
So
you're
it's
like,
not as funny, got it.
why is she still, like, not able to stay conscious? But yeah, so this blonde nurse is looking around for people. She's like, where is everybody? Call the police, honey.
Oh, and she died in front of Laurie, right? That's the...
Yeah, this is that one. But, like, it's cool, too, because you see her on the security camera footage.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, she goes into a room, and then you see Michael, and he's, like, right there. And I'm like, oh, shit, she's fucking dead, dude. But, yeah, Jimmy finds the African-American nurse.
Just say black if you want it.
Finds the Afro-American nurse.
That's worse.
Is that worse? I thought that was a
No,
technical
it's
term.
worse.
I'll have to look that up. But we found her, and Michael has drained her of all of her blood through an IV drip. So that's pretty cool. ID drip is what I said.
Yeah, it's okay.
Very cool, very creative way to kill somebody. Of course, begs the question of the possibility that he knows how to do that. But I'm not digging that deep.
Maybe his daddy Satan showed him.
Yeah, maybe someone at the hospital was just like. He's just
That's what
like,
Satan sounds like.
yeah, IVs, just like this.
He went to a class on the weekend.
Yeah, maybe it was like a prison or something where they had like classes you could take. You know, people get degrees in prison or something. I don't know.
You looked deep into that one. Okay.
That was all fake. But yeah, then Jimmy slips in it.
It's a little concussed.
I know. Did you see there was literally liquid on the ground. And he literally had to like throw himself back first, and then the liquid like just you see the blood like splatter up and get on his lip. And I said,
Disgusting.
I said even if that was like not blood, I'd be like,
I know.
I gotta get this on my fucking lip.
Oh, so you'd lick it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
that's-
something. I don't know.
Or
Either.
something. You got an arm. A shirt, maybe?
A short, but he's supposed to be unconscious.
Oh, so then it would just stay on your lip.
I'd like unconsciously be like, I gotta get whatever this is off.
I
my
don't
lip.
think you would, though, because you're unconscious.
Well, he's acting.
Oh, well, yeah, but in this movie, he's not, actually.
I know, but like
He's
if
Jim
something
Jim.
is on my lip, I don't know if I'd have like the self control and not be like, I gotta get this off my lips.
Do you have any self-control?
But yeah, so the blonde nurse tries to just leave, but Michael slashed everybody's tires.
She said, oh, nuts.
I know, he's a man with a plan. And the cars won't start for some reason, even though, even if you have, slashed tires, your cars should still start. So he must have done something else.
He had the time
Yeah, he really came in here. Like,
to explain,
yeah, what? I was gonna say he came in here with like an agenda. And
Oh, sorry.
He had an itinerary. He said, break all these doors that are locked. Gotta break all these locks for no reason. Gotta cut the power, make sure everyone's cars are not starting. He's really, yeah.
I wonder how long that took.
I know. The timetable doesn't really probably
No,
add up.
it
but,
definitely doesn't, but
yeah.
it's a movie.
but yeah, so the blonde nurse, she's like, Lori, wait. And then Michael just steps out from behind a corner, scalpels her right in the spine, and lifts her up.
That was crazy.
Her shoes fall off.
That
And
was
I don't,
top tier.
That's not how scalpels work.
No,
I
it
don't
is
think
not.
it would break for sure under her weight.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just like he's super strong. He's a freak, and like that image, like I see that all the time on like Halloween Twitter accounts I follow and stuff, and like it's just
So you have a Twitter again. May I ask your handle?
No, you may not.
Would I just
But
be
yeah.
disappointed, embarrassed to know you? Yes or no?
I said the
Okay.
way they shoot it is like a long shot, so it's like pretty far away,
Sure.
almost from Laurie's point of view. But yeah, I put chef's kiss. I said, beautiful, beautiful scene. But Laurie's running now, and I think I wrote like we're in it, because this last like 25 minutes is really fucking gangbusters.
What?
Gangbusters. Dave and Buster's.
What's a gangbusters?
It just like means it's really really cooking with gas.
Okay.
It's a phrase. I don't. But yeah, so she's really hoofing it now. Drugs are out of her system, it seems. She's traversing half the facility, and she comes across like that guy, that security guard's body. It's been like strangled, hung up with a light.
That's horrible.
But yeah, she gets out of a window, and she hides, and she like escapes the hospital, even though Michael is giving chase and like stabbing at her the
No,
whole time.
it was funny. He said, "You can't see what I'm doing," but he was like barely even trying.
Yeah.
Her little legs made it through.
I know, like you could have just stabbed her leg.
You could have. He could
But
have
like
tried
then the
harder.
movie would be over.
That's true.
Yeah, we don't want that. But yeah, so then she hides in a car, and we flash back to Loomis. And like I said, I think I wrote next to it, main course, baby. This is it. This is fine dining. I wrote these
Is it
things.
when that lady's like, they're related?
Yeah, this is it. Because like they're escorting Loomis back to the Smith's Grove, and he's like marrying Gibson 411. She's like, hey. No one ever told you this. It was in the sealed files. She said, I told them they should have told you. I don't know why they didn't tell you. She said, they're siblings. And he says, what the fuck?
But isn't he like his psychiatrist?
Yeah,
or
he was a
something?
psychiatrist for
So
15 years.
Even if the stuff is sealed, I feel like he should know.
Yeah,
They should have told him.
That's what Marion thinks too, man. You and Marion on
in
the
like
same
order
page.
to help him properly.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But yeah, it says the timeline is that Laurie was born 2 years before their older sister Judith's murder, and that she was adopted by the Strodes when the Myers' parents, we don't know how they died, but I guess they died 2 years later after Michael was incarcerated. But yeah, so then Loomis is like, oh, he's going after Laurie. I'm not sure how you just figured this out now with this. Probably should have known it the whole time.
Probably.
But he like pulls the gun on the marshal. It was so funny. He's like, how well do you know this area? Marshall's like, pretty well, pretty good. And he's like, where's this at? And he's like, it's right over there. Like the deadpan delivery of that marshal's lines was really funny for some reason. When he's just like, oh, what have I got to lose? Except my job. Just really funny. So he forces the marshal at gunpoint to take him back to the clinic.
He shoots the window.
Yeah,
right?
he's just like, what do they say? You fire a warning shot, and he shoots out the window, and then you see the car immediately peel around and turn around. I thought that was
It just
funny.
wasn't necessary. He didn't shoot the window. He could throw and shoot the guy.
It was hilarious. It was funny.
It
as
was.
fuck. That's what I'm saying. Loomis is off the rails in this movie. He's the best part of this movie, for sure.
I think you're right, because
Yeah.
without him, it would have fell flat.
Yeah. So then we see Jimmy. We think it's Michael, but Jimmy enters the car that Laurie's in, but he's still woozy, and he's
Yes.
he falls back into unconsciousness, I guess,
His head hits the...
and his head hits the steering
the
wheel.
bang.
And Laurie's like, well, Michael knows where I am now. I gotta go. And she crawls out, but then just as she crawls out, there's Loomy, there's old Loomis and the crew.
Isn't she trying to scream for them, but they don't hear her?
Yeah, because she's like still kind of drugged, I guess. Can't
Yes.
talk for some reason. Until they're finally done, she's like, "Help!" Yeah, but then we see Michael his face outlined in the glowing red exit sign halfway across, and he's like, "I'm coming for you, bitch." And she's like, just army crawling on the ground.
Why
Basically.
can't you walk anymore?
Great question.
Okay,
Great
because
question.
I thought she was fine. She ran to that car and squatted down.
Yeah, she was running around
She
the hospital.
was.
But yeah, so then she's banging on the door. She's like, let me in. And then the marshal lets her in. And then Michael just literally cold-blooded just smashes right through the glass door, which is pretty
R.I.P..
cool. Yeah, RP the door.
Yeah.
You said the poor makers of that door.
I feel like it's hard to make a door.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
couldn't.
I don't know how to work with glass.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That
glue.
seems difficult.
I don't know. That's,
What is glass made out of?
I have no
You see,
idea.
exactly.
It's
What is it? What elements? I don't know. I wouldn't know where to start.
you crush a pearl to make a diamond, or you
I don't
crush,
think that's right.
you crush a coal to make a diamond or something.
I don't think that's right either. I think diamonds are diamonds.
What am I talking about? I don't know science.
You look like you would. Never mind. Let's continue.
Thank you, appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
But yeah, so Loomis shoots him a million times. He shoots him like 6
Yes.
times, and Michael falls down. He's like,
Stabs him, right?
yeah. Well, easy.
Sorry.
Don't get ahead of yourself. Because he's like, oh, Marion, go call the cops. And that's basically her exit from the movie.
My brain doesn't come in chronological order. I'm sorry.
No, he's okay. But yeah, so the marshal is like going up to Michael, and Loomis is literally like, hey, stay away from Michael. He could kill you. And he's like, this dude's dead. He's like, just stay away from him. And the marshal, of course, is just like fucking with Michael. And I gotta say, spoiler alert, this is my favorite kill of the movie.
Oh.
Because the marshal's like leaning over Michael, and then Michael like sits up, and Michael literally like grabs this dude by his left shoulder and like flips him over onto Michael's lap, basically. And he like, you remember?
For some reason, I don't.
Yeah, because Michael's laying flat like this, and the guy's like kneeling over him, and he grabs him on the opposite shoulder and like turns him around to where like the marshal is facing Laurie and Dr. Loomis, and then Michael literally he does this, and it's so creepy and scary because he literally flips this guy around basically on his lap. He's manhandling this grown fat man. And he just, like, without even looking, without taking his eyes off of Laurie or Loomis the entire time, flips this man over and then just slits the guy's throat.
I do remember that
Yeah.
because I remember, and I'm just like, oh, he's slitting his throat.
I know,
like,
and you
that's
see
crazy.
like obviously the giant prosthetic throat being slit, but then you look at Michael's just deadpan, just looking right at Laurie. He's just like,
He said, this could be you.
I'm like, man, that's pretty. I don't even know what to say. No remorse. But yeah, I think I wrote, the marshal leaning over Michael is flipped over onto Michael's own lap. And I wrote cold. Because it's cold-blooded, dude. It's truly.
You're funny.
But yeah, Michael, he gives chase to, like, and then, they're running through the hospital. And he corners them in this room. And then he just straight up stabs Loomis.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Doesn't he tell, like, Laurie to get out of there?
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, basically. Like, Laurie addresses Michael by name, which causes Michael to, like, give pause. And then he cocks his head. I don't know if you noticed the head cock. It's like a famous Michael Myers thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Like a dog?
like an animal, yeah. But then Laurie shoots out Michael's eyes because
that was crazy.
Loomis had stolen
I like that.
the marshal's gun and given it to her, and she shoots out Michael's eyes with Loomis's gun.
How does she do such a good job at that?
No idea. And also, if you shoot someone's eyes out, you're blowing their brains out. They're dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was fine.
For some reason, I'm willing to overlook it. I've never questioned it.
I mean, I didn't think twice about it, and I was just like, okay.
I said, oh, cool, he's blinded. Good
Yeah.
plot device. This is interesting. Where will this go? Not the possibility. I'm like, yeah, if you shoot someone in the eyeball, their brain is exploding out the back of their fucking head. They're not... It's just not just going to stop at their eye.
I think the only way to properly kill him is to cut his body in a bunch of several little small pieces.
Yeah.
Scatter it.
Oh, yeah. Or
Just
I guess
put
in
it
this
in a bag.
movie, burn him. You just burn him alive.
But, like, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
But yeah, so then Loomis, meanwhile, has been filling the room with, like, flammable gas.
Yes.
I guess oxygen from oxygen tanks or something. I don't know. He's just unwhirling the tops of tanks and hissing sounds. And
He said, that was the sound of a gun.
yeah, but that was pretty cool how Loomis sacrificed himself for Laurie, because he's just like, Laurie, run!
Yeah.
And then he's just like, it's time, Michael. And then he just like, and I didn't even know this. This is the first time I ever noticed this. Do you remember earlier in the movie when like Loomis is standing around shooting the shit with that cop, and the cop gives him a lighter to light a cigarette,
Yes.
and that's the lighter that Loomis uses.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
because it's like a yellow Bic looking lighter,
Mhm.
and Loomis is like, it's time, Michael, and he lights that and it blows the room, and I'm like, that's the lighter from before. I've actually only seen this movie. This is the third time I've seen this movie.
That's a lot. I haven't seen many movies more than like twice.
Okay.
I've seen Grease like 5 times. It was my mental breakdown movie for a while. So.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen Scream 3 times this year. It's
Oh,
Yeah.
girl. You alright? Everything okay at home?
But yeah, so the explosion looks really cool. Seems like it was a real explosion. I don't
was
know how
pretty
I
good.
don't know how they could have faked that back then, but yeah, and then like you think, oh, it's good. Michael
No.
emerges from the fire. It's funny though because like he looks super puffy because the guy's obviously wearing a fire retardant suit. But yeah, and then like you're like, oh no, he's not dead, but then he falls over and he burns in front of Laurie. And then Laurie, of course, is taken away in an ambulance. Her face forlorn, sad, traumatized, expressionless. And then, it flashes back to Michael's burning face. Then Mr. Sandman plays again, and then there we go. That's all. I know, I'm holding a fake microphone up to you, even though there's a real microphone right here.
That I ever seen. I don't know the words really. I don't even know if that's right.
Mr. Sandman, give me a dream.
Who is Mr. Sandman?
I think the Sandman is like a Santa Claus type thing, where he comes and sprinkles little sand in your eyes to help you sleep.
I know he's in the Santa Claus.
The Santa Claus movies, yeah.
We've seen them.
Yeah, that's my introduction to Sandman.
But I thought he was like a spooky guy or something.
I don't think
Kinda
so.
creepy?
I actually don't think so.
I'm gonna look into it.
I'm pretty sure the song, despite being kind of creepy, is like supposed to be kind of really innocent.
It's like that one song, like tiptoe by the trees.
Yeah, and how that song slaps.
No, it doesn't.
That
It's
is also,
so creepy.
But it's just like, it's only creepy because it was in
Insidious.
Yeah, I was gonna say The Conjuring, but thank you for
Yeah,
checking
because
me on that one.
I know horror films. Thank you.
You know bad ones.
I love that movie. It's fun, and I don't like the other ones, but I think that one is actually kind of creepy because it's that red guy.
Yeah.
He's scary, and they're in this little workshop. I love that.
You heard it here, folks. Jamira loves.
Foles, is that what you said? Continue. Yeah.
Anyway, let's.
I love Insidious.
But yeah, so this Michael actually technically was supposed to die here, because remember I said the next movie was completely different. They were going to do an anthology.
Oh,
thing.
so technically,
so Michael was never supposed to return. This was supposed to
okay.
be the end for him. And as far as John Carpenter said, he's just yeah, it's done. Michael and Loomis, both dead.
But Loomis isn't actually dead, right, or something?
No, he at the end of this movie, what we're supposed to believe they're both dead. But of course they both come back.
Yes.
But of course, it was imagined that they would both be dead.
Yes.
But they did come back in 4, 5, 6.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Best scene for me, I would say, is just the last 15 minutes of the movie. Literally, as soon as where did I put in my notes here? Yeah, as soon as Loomis is informed about this brother sister connection, that's it, dude. It literally is nonstop, bang bang bang, just brilliant filmmaking and just interesting.
Brilliant, perhaps, is a stretch, but I did find it interesting.
It's massively entertaining.
Sure.
I cannot look away.
Okay.
The kills get ramped up, dude. Vamped up. I don't know, but anyway, yeah. Final kill count supposedly is 10 dead.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not horrible, but yeah, the Ben Tramer scene was really good.
Yes.
The scalpel kill, all these were great. What do you got? Best scene?
Best scene? I said it was the nurse licking Michael's fingers. I thought that was the most disgusting.
You thought that was your best scene?
Listen, I thought it was the grossest and the creepiest. She just kept licking his fingers. It was just, she said, just in her mouth.
That was a good misdirect too, because she doesn't know it's Michael, but we know.
But you're this is her kink. You're figuring out, and he just lets her for a good 35 seconds.
I would too. Can't blame him. Also, he's an incel. He's never even felt the touch of a woman before.
It's so creepy. It just went on for a long time, and I'm like, is she gonna look? And she kept talking to him, and he's not responding.
That's the thing that happens in horror movies a lot too. People just talk to killers. Who's silent like that? Who just doesn't talk?
That's what I'm saying.
If one of my friends
weird.
just didn't talk to me and I was talking to him for 10 minutes, I'd be like, what are you doing?
She's like,
What's
oh,
wrong
he's just
with you?
mad. No, it's just not him.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. It was gross. But I also did like it.
I know. I'm like, Michael, if you just maybe do some rubbing and just indicate that you're baby bud, you probably could have got some.
I almost vomited. Jace, you're canceled.
I'll go ahead and cancel myself in post on this one. I'll remove all of my parts, all of my speaking parts. So it'll just be you.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. Best performance, I wrote Donald fucking Pleasance. Duh.
Is that Dr. Loomis?
Yeah.
I also put Dr. Loomis because nothing really would have happened without him.
Yeah, he's the best.
To be honest.
And Jamie, unfortunately, is pretty nerfed in this movie.
I was gonna say Jamie, but I was like, she didn't do it for me.
Yeah, she's great in the first one. If we're talking the first one, it's obviously her. But she's mostly sedated in this movie.
Yeah, and I was like, she didn't give me anything.
Yeah. Okay. In your best kill, I already revealed mine. It's the marshal. But dumb nurses are good too. What are your thoughts here?
Oh, it was that lady with the 2 shoes with that nurse.
Yeah, the scalpel.
When those shoes plopped, I said, "This is it."
When he lifted her high into the air, man, and it's just like that's like Laurie's like reintroduction to Michael.
You just see how she looks.
I know.
At him.
She said, "Oh God," and he's just like, "What's up?"
It's funny because she keeps trying to walk away from the nurse, and then the nurse keeps stopping.
Yeah.
And then it's just.
How would you improve this movie?
I mean,
Don't pull your punches here. Come on.
I wasn't that critical of it, I don't think. Like, I don't think it was bad. I mean, it was fine. It's just one of those movies. There's a killer. The killer's
Come on, I
chasing
need you to dig
people.
deep here, bud. Come on. Yeah, I mean, I just literally put, I think my exact words were, yeah, I'm pretty hard pressed here to think of anything to improve this movie. It's a near perfect film.
I don't know perfect, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, I said maybe give Laurie more to do.
I mean, she could have been in it more, but like that's I guess the whole point.
Yeah.
She's in the hospital.
Well,
And
that's
he has
what
to
I'm
go
saying.
to the hospital.
Like she had some waking moments, and maybe you could expand on those a little bit, and have her like
True.
come to her. Because I don't think we ever see her come to the realization that she and Michael are siblings. We just see her have these dreams, and I don't think she ever fully figures out what they are.
Yeah, she's like on drugs and stuff. She's
Yeah.
probably just confused.
Yeah.
I mean, now that I've thought about it.
Yeah.
Maybe make it make more sense. Make her be able to run again after sitting in the car because that just didn't make sense.
Yeah, and those that could have been fixed by literally just like putting scenes back in that they took out. So.
Yeah, it's not a big deal,
Yeah.
and I'm not critical of it necessarily. But like, it didn't make sense that now she can't really speak,
Yeah.
and now she's crawling on the ground when
Yeah.
she sees these people because she could run before.
Yeah. That's a good point. I also put just like have more of her and Loomis together, because like they're the 2 powerhouses of this franchise. But like in the first one, the scene you see at the beginning of this movie is the only scene in the movie they have together.
Really?
Yeah, they only come together at the end, and in this movie, it's the exact same thing.
I wonder why they do that.
I mean, I guess I understand it from a plot point of view, because like if he's just with her the whole movie, she's getting out alive.
That's true, and
Yeah.
you want like the stakes to be
Yeah,
there.
and like he really doesn't think like he's really convinced, because I guess the first movie was trying to do that, was like convinced that like Michael has no connection to her.
Yes.
Michael doesn't care about her. She was just in the way.
Mhm.
Now that she's not in the way, Michael will just keep on killing people, which is like the narrative of these new Halloween movies, is that Michael is just an unstoppable killing machine, and that Laurie was just in her way, and that
Yes.
he doesn't actually care about her or anything like that. I just put better wigs, because Jamie Lee Curtis.
I need to look again at this
It's
wig.
really bad. And then also they redid Michael's hair on the Michael mask, because I guess it was so cigarette like tarnished, and they put it like higher up on his head, so he looks like he has a receding hairline.
That's
It's also kind of
hilarious.
reddish looking. What's to like? I just put, there's a million things like there's the Halloween theme, the use of Mr. Sandman.
I really like that.
Yeah, the cinematography is great. I mean, it just the way it's shot, and it looks like there's like a piece of silk over the camera lens or something. Like everything's kind of like a little fuzzy and like kind of warm, and that's like Dean Cundey doing the cinematography. That's great.
That's interesting that you know that.
Yeah, I did some little research. There's a lot of long shots. There's just like Michael is just really fucking menacing and stalkery. Like there's so many times you see him and he's not really killing people, but he's just
Lurking.
like yeah, his presence is just known, which
It's being
creates
creepy.
suspense.
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like an intensity, and you're like, when's he gonna strike? He's right near this girl, but he doesn't kill her.
Mm-hmm.
The creative kills more so than the first one, because the first one was just strangling and stabbing, and in this one he drowned someone, claw hammer, IV drip, stuff like that. There was more kills in this one, which I liked. Loomis, he's fantastic. The acting is good, I think.
It was good acting, you're right.
Yeah. It gives Michael a rationale for what he's doing, which I think I've always liked. And then it's just a good length, hour and a half.
I love the
Doesn't
length.
break your day.
It doesn't
Yeah.
break your day. It's like a quick little watch,
Mhm.
and I like that.
Me too. I'm a big that's why I love horror movies, slasher movies a lot of the times, because they're just an hour and a half. Some aren't even an hour and a half. Some are like 89 minutes.
It gets to the point,
Yeah.
and I love that.
I don't need a lot of. And like, listen, I'm a busy man. I'm on the go. I don't have to sit down and watch a 3.5 hour movie.
Are you? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, just like the everyman, I don't think has time to watch it.
True.
3.5
As a
hour
grown
movie.
adult,
Yeah.
you have to have a job.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
This was a good time, actually.
About the movie.
I wasn't talking about the movie. I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad. Okay.
No, I think it's good. I don't expect much out of really slasher movies. Like, this was fun.
I'm glad you think so. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you think it's underrated. That's the whole point of the show. So.
It is underrated, actually. Yeah. It's pretty good. I don't know why the ratings are so bad.
For me personally, I definitely think it works really, really well, and I would even say better when you watch it in tandem with part one.
It probably would.
Yeah,
because should have.
I mean, part two literally picks up directly after part one ends. So if you watch them back to back, it's basically like one big movie, and I think they complete each other really well. And it's just a good time.
Did you do that?
I did when I watched them like around Halloween earlier this year. Yeah.
Is that good?
Such a great team, and that's a pretty good impression of it. But yeah, I mean, it stands well on its own. You know,
it does.
You can watch it on its own. It's like a decently entertaining slasher flick. But I think, unlike most sequels that we're going to talk about on the show, I think it actually is better if you just watch it directly after the first one, because if they're, it's just a direct continuation. It's basically like one big movie. So, whereas like most sequels are like, 5 years later, 10 years later, and it's just like, well, it's like basically you set my clock back to 0 on this one.
Mm-hmm.
But at this one, it's just like, you got me. It's just like it's a continuation directly, and I think it really gains something if you watch both.
I think together. You're
right. But yeah, anything else you'd like to say, or are you just about good? It's an hour and 31 minutes, so I'm sorry I kept you a minute over what you wanted to do.
It's the fact that you didn't even have to say that. You're just being a butt. Put it in your mouth.
She didn't want to stay for the whole length.
It's it's long.
Yeah.
Chase, it's long.
It is pretty long. And I mean, you're missing out on half of it. I'm going to do half of it without you.
It's going to be another hour 30?
I mean, I have to do all the introductory stuff, and then I have to handle business up front. And then I got to do trivia at the end. And I got my my companion. I'm going to put this down, actually. I'm coming in too loud.
Yeah, you are.
I got my companion book that I'm going to read a bunch of facts from. It's called Taking Shape. It's like a Halloween coffee table book.
You know how to read?
Only upside down, as we talked about earlier. But yeah, so that's coming up next. I guess chronologically.
That's funny.
Because I'll re-record the introductory stuff, put it first, and then I'll re-record everything else. Put it afterwards, and then we'll have like a 3 hour episode.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean my record right now is an hour 54, which was last week's RoboCop 2. So
I tuned in.
It's not been published yet. So. Nice try.
I was lying.
She likes to lie and say she listens to the episodes, but then she doesn't.
I listen to parts. I have ADD, so I struggle.
Just put it on while you clean.
But
that's what my mom does.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, I know.
I don't
she's
clean.
Really nice lady. Anyway, thanks for coming to talk to me, Jamara. I appreciate you, watching the movie and taking the time. So.
You're welcome. It's
right.
ASMR.
Oh, all right. And you're gonna end with that.
It was ASMR.
that's the one you're gonna end with. All right. Well,
I'm the celebrity guest star.
We will be right back.
Okay.
All right. You want to say bye?
Bye. I almost said bonjour, but that's definitely not right. So.
All right.
Hola.
Okay.
You can stop it anytime.
I need to have the last word.
Oh, sorry. You just said, okay, all right.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, yeah. Hey. Oh, yeah. All right. And we're back. I hope that you guys enjoyed listening to that. I surely enjoyed creating it, and the discussion was very, very nice. I enjoy discussing films with people, I guess. That's the whole reason I do this podcast, I guess, is to discuss film, and to do it with other people is way more fun than to do it by myself, actually. So I plan to have many more guests on in the future. I think I had always planned to have guests on, but sometimes it is just nice to just get my thoughts out there. But I think definitely having another person to converse with adds, brings something to the table at the same time. So, and that did go a little long. We're almost at the 2 hour mark here, so I will. I've got some trivia, some interesting factoids to read, but I'll make that quick, and then we'll just wrap it up, and then I'll see you next time. I think we just officially passed the marker, and now this is officially the longest episode of Movies You Missed that we've created so far. So, very cool, very cool. But yeah, so this movie, the production of it was an interesting one because it seems like no one really wanted to make this movie. Half the people involved didn't really want to make it. Like I said, Carpenter was originally supposed to direct, but did not. And Carpenter didn't even want to make a sequel because he thought that the first one pretty much spoke for itself. But I think he might have been like contractually obligated or something to make a second one. So I think the common conception and the story we've all heard is that Carpenter had a difficult time writing it and and just like did it in like a drunken stupor, basically, and ended up just like hating the script and the movie for the rest of his life, and will not hesitate to bash it, I think. But yeah, so Carpenter did not direct. Tommy Lee Wallace, who was the editor and art designer for the first movie and Carpenter's longtime friend and collaborator, also refused to direct, even though he was like the natural successor, because he did not like the script. So it then fell to Rick Rosenthal, who had never directed anything before in his life. Was to helm the sequel to Halloween, one of the greatest and most successful movies of the time. But yeah, Rosenthal, a Harvard grad, I believe, was hired to direct, and this was not an easy task for Rosenthal. I certainly don't envy this guy, who on his first film is, a lot of pressure, being a sequel to a incredibly successful and beloved movie. He was also bound to a script that not a lot of people were happy with. Not John Carpenter, not Jamie Lee Curtis, most of the cast and crew. And he was surrounded by people who were all very tightly knit, including Deborah and John and Dean Cundey and all people from the first film. And so in order to make himself more comfortable, Rosenthal surrounded himself with a lot of his actors from his acting classes. A lot of the hospital staff, including Bud and Mrs. Alves, the head nurse. And then Rosenthal was expected to kind of deliver and continue the tone and style set by the first one. He tried to do that, of course, because it's what people expected. He tried to do that the best he could, but also he wanted to make the movie his own, which I guess proved very difficult because Carpenter, despite not really wanting to be involved, seemed like he felt obligated to get involved, maybe to defend like his legacy or like a project that he deemed his, because I think eventually a lot of Rosenthal's stuff Rosenthal put in was cut, or there was a lot of, I know Carpenter did a lot of reshoots even after Rosenthal edited it. Because Carpenter did not believe it was scary enough, and even though Rosenthal tried to stick with the lack of like blood and gore and like violent kills like the first one had done, and it was very stylish and sleek that way, Carpenter and then the studio thought that bigger was better. We have to keep up with Friday the 13th, which is incredibly gory, so they upped the gore a lot. Carpenter even added that scene at the beginning where that teenager Alice is stabbed through the neck, just because he was like, oh, no teenagers are killed in this movie, so we got to change that. Rick Rosenthal is actually quoted as saying, in the end, the cut of Halloween 2 that was released was certainly not mine. Rosenthal told this to Fangoria in an interview. I was never a friend of John Carpenter's. I was just somebody he hired. so I had very little say once I decided to change my cut of the film. I haven't seen or talked to John in years, but it's not like I'm pissed off at him. There were a lot of cooks on this film. You had John and Deborah, then Mustafa Akkad, then Dino De Laurentiis, and finally Universal. Dino came to the cutting room floor early on and said, "Oh no, oh Rick, it's so slow. Take out the scene with the apple and the razor blade." And I said, "Dino, I'm not sure who has final cut here, but I can tell you that John and Deborah loved that scene." And so in the end, the scene stayed in. That was a good example of the politics that were at play on Halloween 2. So very interesting. And despite Carpenter's interference and his kind of co-opting of certain aspects of the film, he's quoted as saying, "I think Halloween 2 is an abomination and a horrible movie." And then he went on to say that he was really disappointed by Halloween 2. The director has gone on and done some other things. I think his career is launched now, but I don't think he really had a feel for the material. And Carpenter said that he didn't have a feel for what was going on. Yeah, a lot of scenes were cut, including a scene where Michael Myers murders a reporter after using her as a ride to the Haddonfield Memorial, and there's also scenes, additional scenes that were filmed but cut where Laurie was drugged a second time, like given medicine a second time, which is why in like the final chase sequence she's still loopy and kind of out of it and can barely walk or stand or talk. Which when you watch it, you're like, man, she was given those drugs hours ago. How are they still? But it's because they cut those scenes out. And I'm getting most of my facts here from the book Taking Shape, Developing Halloween from Script to Screen by Dustin McNeil and Travis Mullins. So I won't give you too much more out of that that book, because I it's a really good book, and I do definitely recommend you just buy it and read it yourself. They go through all of the Halloween movies and their productions and how these Halloween movies came to be, and there's exclusive interviews. They interviewed Dean Cundey and then Tommy Lee Wallace, and it's very interesting, very good book. It's on Amazon for $21.99 currently. I got it as a gift for my birthday from my brother Vince. But yeah, I highly recommend that you buy it and read it. What else do I got here? I've got some trivia courtesy of IMDb. Oh yes, okay. So the Dick Warlock being hired as Michael Myers is an interesting little tidbit, because I guess to get the role of Michael Myers, Dick Warlock, he revealed this in an interview and was later confirmed that while he was waiting to go interview, or I guess audition interview, like it's a real job. I mean, acting is a real job, but it's not conventional. Dick Warlock revealed that he as he passed by the room, the Michael Myers mask was actually sitting on a table outside the room. So he put the mask on and walked into Rick Rosenthal's office and just stood there. And I guess only after Rosenthal continuously asked him who he was, with no reply from Warlock, that he took off the mask and asked if he could play Michael Myers. So I guess he probably scared the bejesus out of Rick Rosenthal to the point where Rick Rosenthal was like, yeah, this guy's got it. Yeah, I think we talked about this in the discussion with Jamera, but yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis had begun wearing her hair much shorter at this time, so she had to wear a wig that matched her original hairstyle from the first film, even though it doesn't really at all and looks really, really terrible. This is the only Halloween film to show the morning after the 31st, whereas every other movie ends on Halloween night. So rather than being Halloween, this movie should be called November 1st. The voice of Alice's friend, where Alice is that girl, like I said, who was killed at the beginning by Michael in her house. She's on the phone, and a voice is heard talking to her on the other side. That voice is actually the voice of Nancy Loomis, who played Annie in Halloween, and appears briefly in Halloween 2 as the corpse of Annie, and also appears in Halloween 3. Jamie Lee Curtis has actually played Laurie Strode in films released in 6 different decades, from the 70s to the 2020s, because Halloween was released in 1978, Halloween 2 in 1981, Halloween H2O in 1998, Halloween Resurrection in 2002, and then Halloween in 2018, then Halloween Kills in 2021. So 6 decades. So Halloween 2 actually grossed more than The Howling and Friday the 13th Part 2, even though I think those movies are viewed as superior. Friday the 13th especially, I think, is viewed as one of the best in the franchise. And The Howling, I love that movie. It's so good. But I think at the box office, this movie made more. Halloween 2 was actually originally scripted to take place in a high-rise apartment building, but the setting was later changed to Haddonfield Hospital. Another possible, I think, location and setting for this film was actually like years in the future, where Laurie would be at college and Michael would hunt her down, which I thought would have been interesting. Another thing that Dick Warlock said. Dick Warlock seems like a good guy, a fun guy, and I think he portrayed Michael Myers really well. One thing that he said was that on the set of the shoot, during his stalking scenes, he at one point asked Deborah Hill if like his walk was too slow, and if he was doing the walk right, and I guess she replied that it was fine, keep doing that. And I guess he was like really careful to involve her and ask her, "Oh, am I doing this right?" Because I want to honor Nick Castle's portrayal. And she'd be like, yeah, you're fine. But I guess after the release of the film, she literally like sandbagged him in interviews and said that he walked too slow and that he didn't resemble Nick Castle's portrayal at all. And I guess this made Warlock really mad because like he felt that during the shoot she really didn't voice her opinion at all. So I think that's funny. I guess Hollywood producers are usually dickheads, and it seems like Deborah Hill was not really an exception. When Jimmy slips and falls in the blood, I guess he did his own stunt, and I guess it was done in one take, which is cool. To achieve the bloody tears scene at the end when Michael Myers is shot in the eyeballs, the mask's forehead contained a fake bulb of blood, and when Dick Warlock stumbled back and put his hand on his mask, he broke it, and then the blood was released, which was pretty neat. Dick Warlock is actually the shortest person to portray Michael Myers in the series. He actually had to wear lifts to appear taller. I thought this one was kind of cute, I guess. Leo Rossi, who plays Bud, actually introduced Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie, to her future husband, Christopher Guest, because they were in a mutual celebrity softball league, which is really interesting. This one is really interesting. Lance Guest, who plays Jimmy, who is relatively unknown at the time of this movie's release, went on to star with Dan O'Hurley from RoboCop 2 and Halloween 3 Season of the Witch in the movie The Last Starfighter, which was released in 1984 and actually directed by Nick Castle, who played Michael Myers in the first one. So, everything's a closed loop. Everything's connected. It's crazy. I guess they consider making this movie 3D, like a lot of movies during the early 80s were. But I guess they were to make this movie in 3D would have been far too expensive, and also I guess it's hard to do 3D at night, and this movie is basically takes place basically all at night, and everything is dark, and 3D does not really read that well in the dark. I mean, you could tell that if you watch like the movie not Halloween, but Friday the 13th Part 3, which is Part 3D, and it's like so well lit, and everything's so bright to effectively capture the 3D that it actually kind of takes away the suspense and the terror, and it kind of makes it kind of feel like weird and washed out and not scary. So I think they made the right choice there. Universal produced this movie, and then Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. But after Halloween 3 Season of the Witch tanked at the box office, Universal sold the rights to Trancas International, who produced the film, who produced the films until 1989. Whereas then in 1996 the rights were sold to Miramax, and then they would later revert to Universal, and for 2018's Halloween, and then all of the sequels that have came since. So again, everything comes full circle. Dick Warlock was 41, portraying a Michael Myers that was 21. So I guess it doesn't matter because he's in the mask, and his mask is actually not removed in this one at all. So, I guess Nick Castle also kept the mask in his back pocket during the production of the first movie. So the spray paint that they used to make it white wore off. And this, along with like the things we discussed earlier, like the dust and how Deborah Hill's cigarette smoking, contributed to the discoloration of the mask over time. I'm not sure why they couldn't just repaint it, like they replaced the like the artificial hair, but. Thought those some pretty interesting facts for you guys. Sorry, I know we're at 2 hours and 11 minutes, so I'll try to make this quick. I have some. I remember in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre episode, we did some similar. I explored some similar rankings because I love lists and rankings and stuff, and I think they're very fun. My cat's licking my toes right now. Hi, he's so cute. But yeah, I like rankings, and especially like for slasher horror movies with like bad guy antagonists like this, like Michael Myers, Leatherface, Jason Voorhees. I like to explore the rankings of not just like the actor portrayals, but also the movies in general, and also the masks, and the way the character looks. So the movie rankings, I checked. I read articles from Collider, Time, Variety, and Den of Geek, and this movie kind of ranks all over the place. Collider had it listed as number 8, which is relatively low. And Collider had Halloween Kills over this movie, which is absurd. But then Den of Geek rated it the 3rd best Halloween movie. Variety ranked it the 2nd best Halloween movie, and then Time Magazine ranked it 5th. So it rates all over the place. And my personal rankings, not that I've explored trying to rank these movies for maybe a year or so, so who knows, I watch it now, it could be different. But I think it is second. I think it is my second favorite movie. Followed very closely by Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, because I think it goes, if you'll permit me a second to just pull out my phone, actually. I got the rankings right here. Yeah, so I rank Halloween 2 second. It goes Halloween 1978, Halloween 2, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, followed by Halloween 2018, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Halloween H2O, Halloween Resurrection, Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers, Halloween Kills, and then Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. And we can explore those rankings of mine later as we do more of these films. But for now, I guess for Halloween 2, I guess I rank with Variety, which is interesting. So then I also looked at the actors who portrayed Michael Myers, and I looked at how people rank those just because I was interested. And I read and took part in a IMDb poll, and I also looked at Screen Rant. For the IMDb poll, Dick Warlock came in at number 7, which is very low. But then Screen Rant had him at number 3. So I think people generally view his portrayal as positive because it's very, very similar to the original. If anything, I guess a little worse because his walk was slower, and that's just general direction though. As we know, I guess he didn't really have much help from anyone around him. And lastly, I'll go through some mask rankings because if you've seen this franchise, you know that the masks differ a lot as the series goes on, because Halloween 1 and 2, as far as I know anyway, are the only two movies to use the same mask. And that for 4 and 5 and 6, 7, 8, they all redesigned, had new masks commissioned for those movies, and they all look drastically different. So I read articles on Stack, Screen Rant, Cinema Crazed, and Collider. And Warlock's mask, of course, ranks pretty high because it's basically just the mask from the original, which the mask from the original will always come in first, it seems. People have a strong allegiance to that and to that mask, which I understand. So Stack actually had Dick Warlock's mask at number 5, whereas Screen Rant had it at number 2. Collider also had it at number 2, and Cinema Crazed had it at 4. So it ranks pretty highly, and of course as it should, because it's the exact same mask as Part 1, which is people's favorite mask. Whereas I think Halloween 4 and 5, people hate those masks. Oh, and also Halloween H2O, I think people hate. Yeah, I think people like the Rob Zombie masks, actually, and then the ones from these new Halloween movies, the David Gordon Green ones, because they're actually like pretty similar in like style and the way the features look. They look pretty similar to the original like Halloween 1 and 2 masks. But like same thing with Halloween 6, although Halloween 6 has like this weird wonky spiky hair. But like, yeah, if you're talking mask, I mean like Halloween Resurrection, H2O, 4 and 5, straight garbage. They look so bad. And we could talk about that when we discuss those movies, because I think we're going to discuss most of those, if not all of them. But yeah, I mean, especially, I'll say this real quick, the Halloween 4 and 5 masks are different masks, even though the movies were released like 8 months apart and were filmed like pretty much back to back. They said, like the director of Part 5 was just like, nah, I'd like to use a completely different mask. And it somehow got worse. But yeah, we'll save that for another time. Jamie Lee Curtis was 22 when she made these movies, which is pretty crazy. That's 2 years younger than I am right now. But she even like, it's crazy because like I guess I've always like been of this opinion that like, man, people looked so much more grown up back then. Like when I was 22, looked like a little baby. When Jamie Lee Curtis was 22, she looked like a grown woman still, even though she was only 22. It's unbelievable. But anyway, that's all I've got for today. And I appreciate you guys listening and taking the time to do so out of your day. I know we all have a lot going on. And this is, of course, over 2 hours. A lot of it just me talking. But yeah, thank you again to Jamera Ross, our special guest, for coming on today. And being, I guess, technically the first guest you guys have ever heard, because I did have a guest on an unreleased episode a couple years ago. But yeah, so our first guest, technically speaking, Jamera Ross, thank you so much for coming on. True friend of the show, one of my biggest supporters. And yeah, we'll come back at you, maybe not this week, maybe next week, with our third episode for sequel summer. And I don't really know what the order is or what movies I'm even going to do until I do them. And I think that's fun. It's always a little surprise for me and you. So just stay tuned. And I hope everyone has a fantastic day. And I'll see you next time. All right. Bye-bye.